morning, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's about 9:07 a.m. On, what is it here, Tuesday, February 14th. And Mike Vavanese is out of town today. He'll be back tomorrow. So with that, let's have a roll call.
Carl Masterpole.
Josiah.
Chuck Fahey.
Sue Straub.
Okay, we've got a quorum, and so with that, we've got our first petitioner. If you want to come up. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Good, good. So, I think you're familiar with the process, but yes, please. We're going to swear you in, and before I do that, just general, should these be read in together because they're next to each other, or they're three separate situations? It doesn't make any difference to me, I'm just trying to get a guide.
Why don't you read them in separately?
Read them in separately, we'll discuss them separately. Perfect. If you can raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Sheldon Ash.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay. So, any particular order?
Why don't we just go from 4:05 and go forward.
Okay. We can do that. Okay, so we'll start off with 405 North McBride Street. And let me just read a few things in, and then we'll come back to you. Got some information from the city. Yeah. There. Okay, I got it in for myself. Okay, once again, 405 North McBride Street. This is a wood and brick residential building containing 3 units. The building is fully vacant. Current tentative assessed value of $95,000. Let me just confirm that. With a land value of $13,000. That would be a fair market value of $147,287. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $70,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $45,150. And let me just thumb through a couple things here, see if there's any more pertinent information. It looks like we've got some profit and loss statements. Okay, so this is not owned by you.
No, it's
And well, we have a designation for you to present. And then, was this any recent purchase price or anything? So this is something that's been owned by the Coda for a while?
yes.
Okay. And this is kind of a new question. And again, neither here nor there, but are you, so you're representing, are you getting compensated for
Yes.
you don't have to be specific with
Yes,
respect to
I will not.
what,
Yes.
but you're being compensated for the presentation and attempting to agree the taxes.
I'm yes and no, or no and yes.
Okay.
My compensation really, it doesn't matter in terms of
The
time that's
the
spent.
success or what have you. Okay. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So what can you tell us about this property?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. It's brick and wooden brick. Building 405 and 407 are attached, but they're obviously separately assessed parcels.
Okay.
It has been vacant for a while. In fact, just before I came here today, I just wanted to make sure that the status of the property hasn't changed from the time that the grievance was filed after January 1st, but January 1st payment taxes. status states it's still a vacant property.
And it's
as
a 3-unit residential?
3-unit residential.
How long's it been vacant and why?
It's been vacant for, to my knowledge, at least a year. And the issues for this property and then the other two that follow, simply James Street.
Okay,
There's James Street, and to the north, it's just a neighborhood that is, shall we say, transitional.
okay. Okay, so the owner is attempting to rent these?
The owner is attempting to rent them because there's income to be made, but he has not been able to find tenants to reside there. And even with the proximity of St. Joe's, he hasn't been able to find anybody.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to, okay, North McBride. Yeah, not too far from St. Joe's, right. Okay. When they were rented, what was he collecting the
I
rents?
don't have that information.
Okay, all right. So that would be good. Are you able to get that
I
information?
can certainly try.
Yeah, it'd be good to know what he was getting with respect to market, if you will. Obviously, we can put a guesstimate on it, but it would be helpful to know what he was getting last year, if that
It
was
not, it's been vacant for over a year. So
Okay.
it's been
a couple years ago.
pre-21.
Okay.
And, but
It's not critical, it's not gonna hold us up, but it would be helpful to know what size are the units, what, bedrooms, baths.
and then who do I communicate that with?
Matt, where do you want that information?
I'm sure the clerk, you've been in email contact with Michelle, right? Michelle Hopkins?
I can give him my email address before he leaves.
Okay.
She's,
so that's
she's
Michelle.
always good at getting it into the
That's
right hands.
Michelle.
I can remember that first name.
Michelle Hopkins. And just to talk a little bit more, what's the makeup of this building?
It's just 3 units.
Do we know what bedrooms,
No,
baths?
I'll get that information. as well.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that would be, we gotta have that stuff.
Sure. But again, it's been vacant for at least the past year, and at $49,000 a unit, I think that we're filing an agreement because we think that's too high.
Okay. So, anything else you wanna add here, condition-wise?
Conditions are fine. I mean, if you've gone by it, or if you do go by it, you'll see that.
Yeah, I
that
will.
It's a well-maintained, all 3 properties are well-maintained.
Gee, it just seems like, he should be able to rent it,
You would think so, but obviously there's something there that prevents that from happening. And when I talked to the owner at length, he expressed, he said, until James Street and that area around the properties are taken care of, that he's having a really hard time.
Okay. Matt, anything you can add?
I had a planned first remark, but that's a tremendous segue to what a wiser man than I, my predecessor, liked to say, that best way to hold up a neighborhood is to have bodies in the buildings. Not bodies, but vacancy brings down a block. But vacancy brings down a block more arguably than anything. Although I'll second that these are well maintained. We reassessed the entirety of the Upper Ninth Ward this year, and there are known vacants in the neighborhood. These, to somebody looking from behind a windshield, do not jump out as vacants. They're well taken care of. Seems like the exteriors are in good shape. So ordinarily we'd run an income cap, run a sales comparison approach. Income cap, we haven't got market rents, we haven't got contract rents. Kind of goes out the window if they're vacant. But we do have sales that we've submitted to the board. We have not been able to find any listings on which we could, take a stab at conducting an income cap. Those would really help.
Selling the properties if it's just not working for them?
The property owner doesn't like to sell properties.
Okay,
So we'll lean on our sales in the absence of that. You know, they're
Yeah, I did find a couple of sales, and I guess this can be applied to 407 as well. There was a sale on East Division Street, which is less than a third of a mile away at 316 Division Street, East Division Street. That sold for $15,950 a unit. It's $47,800. 2020 there. And also on Catherine Street, which is 609 Catherine Street. The sale was, again, in 2019 for $50,000.
who was the grantor on that, Shelley? On 609? 609 Catherine?
Michael Brown?
Okay, that doesn't jump out at me. East Division I wouldn't have had because I just limited my sales to the 9th Ward. I think East Division's probably in the 6th, maybe the 2nd. But Catherine, I'll double check and have a look at that.
okay, and so you'll try to get us
Yeah,
some
I will.
rents and breakdown of units. Okay, sounds good. So let's move on to 407 North McBride. We've got some city comp information. I'm sorry, some city property information.
Can you share the sales with me?
If the board wishes,
Yeah, no problem.
no objection here.
Do we have sales? Do you want to give them the first ones or?
They're the same.
Oh, sorry, yeah, same sales sheet for both. We don't have a lot of three families in the
We'll
9th.
give them to you as we talk about this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the addresses.
Well, whatever the data, just,
Yeah, up to you, Joe, but no objection here.
Yeah, no, open door, so that's
Okay.
fine.
how
Whatever.
about, if you want, we can even, when I present the information to Michelle, she can have the
Comps emailed back, sure, absolutely. No problem there.
Yeah, I'll hand deliver the information.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, so you can, if you can give them the comps at that time,
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
great. Thank you. 407 North McBride Street. Wooden brick residential building containing 3 units. 2 units are vacant. We've got a current tentative assessed value of $95,000. With a land value of $10,000, bringing the market value to $147,287. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $80,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $51,600. Okay, and let's take a peek here. Pretty much same information, profit and loss. Yeah. Okay, and so we said that. Do you have a breakdown of units here?
Well, it's 3 units.
Right.
I will also provide the information that I will provide for you for the adjoining property at the same time.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So do you know the rent on?
The 2 of the units are vacant, so the operating statement that's been attached to
Might have
the
it on
complaint
there.
is on there, yes.
Okay. Okay. Good condition like the other one, I
Yes.
assume, and, okay, Matt?
We're working off similar rationale, similar data on this one, so nothing further for the city to provide.
Okay. And again, we'll exchange information.
Okay.
At that time. Great. So we'll move on to 409 North McBride Street in Willow. Again, some property information sheets the city has provided. And reading this is a wood frame apartment building containing 5 units. 4 units are vacant. Current tentative assessment is $140,000 with a land value of $11,000. Market value on that would be $217,054. And the petitioner believes the fair market value is $135,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $87,075 assessed value. Probably same type of information here, profit and loss, and designation. Okay, so we've got one occupied, same type of thing as far as getting the breakdown
Yep.
information and
Yep.
and the rents on the rent on the one occupied.
Yeah, that's right on the,
Oh, yeah.
profit and loss statement.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. So I guess just what the ballpark vacant rents were is all we're looking for, I guess.
The occupied unit, it was $99,450 for their annual rent last.
How much?
$9,000.
Oh, $9,000.
$450.
Okay.
Again, the project, and Matt knows, he's been by it. Again, the properties are well maintained. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
people choosing not to rent there for various reasons, among them being the issues of James Street and Willow Street.
Yeah. It sounds like the and this is just a fact. It sounds like the quality of tenant that he's looking for, which is fine, is having some issues with the area, and therefore he's not willing to lower his standards to get the things occupied.
Well, I don't know about lower. I can't talk about him lowering his standards.
No, and I'm not asking him to. What I'm saying is that he doesn't want issues.
He wants decent tenants.
Sure, exactly. And therefore, it's taking much longer to find that occupant that's willing to live in that location is what I'm getting at. Hence, and I know he doesn't like to sell or liquidate, but you know, that something's got to give at some point, right? So anyway,
Yeah, that's generally our line of thinking. It's an okay property from the curb. There's some external obsolescence, I think, in the neighborhood. Similar broadly to the previous two properties we discussed, different property class, different comp set. This is a 411 with 5 units. As a result, for the comps, we went outside the specific neighborhood in the ward a little bit.
I should, and maybe it's important to mention this, and I will, but these buildings are 100 plus years old.
Yeah. I think the comps uniformly are of that, plus or minus a decade ilk. There's more capital costs that need to go into these than say, a garden property over in Eastwood. But
this is not a requirement on our part, but do you think it's beneficial to take a walk through these properties?
I'm always game for a field trip if the board is.
And I'm not saying the city is subsidizing, but
That's what.
neither
Neither are we, but since you did.
we can't,
We don't want to incentivize holding these properties vacant when we are in the midst of a housing crunch. I mean, you know, as far as sales comps go, values are through the roof because rents have been up for half a decade or more.
Different types of apartments.
Well, these 4 units, 5 units are selling across the city. Again, not so much in the adjacent blocks because there are fewer of this property
You know,
type.
it's a tough one, because I'm sure that there's occupants all around these properties, in other buildings. So,
That's
it's
right.
a-
And I'm sympathetic to the concern. You open the doors to anybody and you're
I like the whole area.
the properties go to pieces. We don't have the same properties we did a decade ago. That's right. I mean, there are willing tenants. I can't presume to decide who the petitioner's client should take in as far as tenants go, because nobody wants a wrecked building. And you can walk down East Willow Street. I'm happy to come with for that too, and you can see the problems in the neighborhood. These aren't make believe.
Well, with the information that Mr. Ashton's going to provide, I'm fine with, but I suggest the walkthrough if you want to do a walkthrough, and I'm happy to come.
Yeah.
But I think we can,
I don't need it for my own edification, but if anybody on the board wants to come, I'll certainly tag along.
okay, all right, fair enough. And I think that, we'll exchange the information.
I'll get that information to Michelle.
Michelle.
As soon as I get it.
Great,
Super.
always good to see you.
Good to see you, Joe.
Thank you.
Do you want me to email it? Would that be easier rather than I can hand deliver it or?
It's up to you.
Email is sufficient.
Yeah. Email's good for Michelle if it's good for you.
All right, what's Michelle's email address? I know it's kind of changed.
Yeah, well, as soon as she signs this person in, she'll give it to you.
It used to be Syracuse.
It did change recently, but given our new big brother, I guess we won't disseminate that any more widely than we need to.
Yeah, I would say, why don't you,
I'll get that information.
yeah, just if you want to, this way she can give it to you personally.
And then she can even email me the.
Yeah, I can go have a little back.
Yeah, once she gets it from you, she'll have your email address and she can send it back, and then we'll send out 3 separate notices first week of April.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.
See you, Joe.
There you go. Of course. Thank you. You have a great day.
So Matt, you're not making any decisions, but you understand my angst with this thing. At some point, you gotta rent the properties.
Or sell. And there's some bad actors out there who are in the market for buildings like that, but that doesn't mean you can't screen those prospective buyers too.
Yes.
Taken to its logical conclusion, nobody would
Yes,
have a market assessment.
yes, exactly. So,
There's renters out there. I'm not trying to encourage anybody to, invite knuckleheads into their place, but there's a heck of a lot of demand, and we can't hold things vacant and give them a reduced assessment just because.
the problem. That's
That's all that does is further drive up rents and have people on the street.
yeah. So that's my angst, if you will.
But I'm at least gratified that from the curb, they don't look
Thank
vacant.
you so
They're taking good care of those properties, which is good, because you go up Catherine and that's not, or East Laurel, it's not always the case.
Yep. Okay. Yes, we're ready for 1129-31 East Fayette.
Yep. Sir, he's ready for you.
1129-31 East Fayette. This will be number 4 for our purpose.
Downstairs, came, so you just hold on to it.
He's paying the bill? All right,
Do
you
you
want to
wanna
skip
do the
over? Yeah.
next one
We're
and
gonna
then-
just take this gal here, and then you can come after that. Yeah. This gal here. Yeah, great, thank you.
No problem.
Okay,
Ma'am.
250 South Clinton. Okay, this is
We should
not-
probably
that is
plan to
not
get something
number
on the
four.
books to
Well,
start
actually,
settlement discussions on this one before
yeah,
they file
better
another
change
year.
it. This 250 South Clinton is number 4, everybody.
Hey, Debbie.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, how are you today?
Good, thank you. You're here for 250 South Clinton. Okay. This will be number 4 on our list then. Okay, what I'll do is swear you in and then read some information into the record. And then I'll turn it over to you. We'll go to the city and come back to you if necessary. So if you could raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Deborah Sullivan of County Damon, LLP.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay. So we've got 250 South Clinton Street and Fayette Street. The city has supplied some property information for the file. And let me just get to the application, and I'll read it in, and we'll take it from there.
I don't, but if Joe's okay with it, if Joe is okay with it, you will.
The property information? Yeah, that's fine. Yep, you've got it.
I don't suppose it's much change from last year other than the E-crate and the format.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Do you mind if I take yours back then? Well, actually, when we're done.
Well, you can do it.
All right, just for the file. Yeah. Okay, so this is a 6-story office building, 172,814 square feet with 88 parking spaces in a garage below. Current tentative assessment, $13 million, with a land value of $1,250,000. Let me just look and see. So that would be a market value of $20,155,039. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $10 million, which would be an equatable assessed value of $6,450,000. That's 64.5%. Okay, and just looking through a little bit here. When was this property? This was an old Mike Falcone property. Is he still the owner?
No, he's
No.
not.
Right, that's been a while. So when was this purchased last?
They might have been in 17 together with some other properties at, over at Plum Street. There's a matter that was in litigation last year, but that we settled with the city, so there's not an allocated value.
There's not an allocated value.
Right, from that transaction.
Okay.
And in fact, their financials end up being consolidated, so the tax return information which you requested and which we provided at the bottom, please note it does say it's consolidated because that's how the tax returns are, so it includes income and expenses for the other property.
Altogether.
Yes, but then for the income and expense data, the non-tax return one, is we give you an allocated value for this property.
Okay, good, good. Okay, all right, very good. What else can you tell us about the property?
So as you probably have gathered based on Matt's comments, this is in litigation. Really, I guess I would say the issue goes back to 2019. So in 2019, AT&T was in this space. I think really what's causing the increase in assessment. So AT&T occupied about 35,000 square feet. Okay, the assessment was 11 million, which equates to a fair market value equalized using the E-rate then in effect, which was 78%. Equalized is $14.1 million. Today, as you recited, the equalized value is 20.1 million. So that is 6 million higher. And on or about 12/31/19, AT&T vacated 35,000 square feet of that building. And you might remember, so it was vacant for a period of time, but then M&T did decide to relocate there when they were selling their own building. Okay, so they were in place around January 1st of 2021 and got this notice of increase of $2 million. But a 485B application was filed, and as noted by the city in these comments, it was granted, but really, in my view, that was a protected filing because the fourth department, which is the controlling appellate division for Onondaga County, has held that tenant improvements are not taxable. In fact, the amount you spend on them needs to be deducted from NOI. The idea being is put them in for the tenant, and sure, they have value to that tenant. When that tenant leaves, your next tenant is going to want something else, and you have to spend money to make money, right? So to get it to the occupancy where they didn't have this huge vacancy of 35,000 square feet, money had to be spent to get that rent and to get that occupancy.
Okay.
So it's our position really that the increase was not appropriate here, and I believe something in the neighborhood of what the equalized value was back in 19 would be appropriate. Yeah.
So what you're saying, though, is the improvements inside the offices should not be reflective in market value.
Saying the tenant improvements should not be, and the controlling case is Senpike Mall versus Assessor 136 AD 2nd 19. It's a fourth department case from 1988. And so AT&T was an office type tenant, right?
Yeah.
But M&T didn't just go in there and start occupying it, right? They wanted it their own, build out their own finishes, their own whatever, which is not uncommon.
Right.
So I feel like the increase in assessment does not take into account the fact that the landlord, to make money, i.e. more rent, had to spend money. And I think Senpike Mall is the case that recognizes that reality.
Okay.
You don't get that more income, that better occupancy without, in this case, spending money.
Sure, but wouldn't that be deductions off of their IRS tax returns?
Well, I think the case law finds that it actually gets deducted from the net operating income in the context of tax assessment.
Okay. Before we go to Matt, so M&T is in the first floor, that's where their branch is. And then what else do we have where Pascal's used to be? What's over there? Over on the Fayette Street side.
I don't know. I know on the third floor. Oh, is that where there might be a deli?
No, that's on the M&T side.
That-
It's good deli. Worth stopping in.
There also,
Yeah. No, the former Pascal's is office space, I believe.
office space that converted over, because I think Chicatano was over there.
Okay.
And we have given rental with all of the
Okay.
tenants and the.
Would you mind sending that along again, Debbie? I'm sorry, I didn't have that handy for this prep. That's not to say it isn't in another folder.
No, we did provide 3 years.
Great, yeah, that's, I think that's about all we need.
And that we think is in here.
Copy. Let's see here.
If that file is not reviewed file, I'm
Yeah.
happy to build a copy. It's very
Okay,
Or I'm happy to provide them afterwards, or however you want to do it.
no, I think I have,
Yeah, those are the
rent
rules
rolls, yep,
right there.
yep. Yeah, so I think we have what you need.
Okay, I might have been looking at, I don't know, a less than complete grievance, but no, that's good, because that was the one thing I was going to ask about. Obviously, we settled 507 Plum last year, wanted to give this one another year to think about, so we'd love to schedule some kind of a preliminary settlement meeting soon.
Cannibalize the folder.
Couple of dates.
Let's do that. You look good for the next few weeks?
Yes.
We're under it for the next week or so, but after that, certainly don't want you to file again if we can avoid that. The equalization rate is not our friend.
So I just gave Trevor the rent roll.
Oh, that's terrific. Thanks, Joe.
He'll make a copy, and you'll have that. And, okay, so anything else you want to add? Yeah, we appreciate it. And Matt?
Yeah, we don't want to litigate it in front of you. I think it might be a distinction without a difference, but the $2 million bump for 21 was, to reflect absorption, not the TIs. But again, that might be just being pedantic. But no, as I noted to Debbie, the equalization rate has gotten away from us. We would like to chat about this soon. I don't think, frankly, we have a ton to support 108.64 full market value here, but we're going to go over the rent rolls and see what we can come to an understanding on to reflect a good quality, mostly leased Class A office building.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building,
Yep.
for sure. Okay, well, that sounds good. Yeah, that's not yours, so we'll get Matt the rent roll, and then we'll take a look at everything, and then we'll send out a notice first week of April. He'll let us know what your discussions are. All right? Thank you very much for coming in.
We'll be in direct contact with you the second week of the month at the latest. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Trevor. This is, yeah, we're scheduled on the 27th, so starting the Monday after Monday, the 27th.
Thank you.
Wait, did this come from you?
No.
Okay, and that goes back to the.
Yeah, it goes back there. Yeah, I'm not sure, but no. Not I.
Which properties? Greenwood, Nope. You can. Perfect. So, yes, I'll just have you put your name.
Good morning, how are you? Good. 1129-31 Fayette Street.
Yes.
Yes. All right, that'll be number 5 on our list. Okay, if I can swear you in, if you could raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Thank you so much.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay. All right, let me just read some information in here. City has provided some general property information. Okay, so this is again 1129-31 East Fayette Street and Walnut Avenue. This is a 483 converted residence. Current assessed value tentative is $280,000, which would be a market value of $434,109.
Where do you get the market value from? Because at one point, we were trying to sell it and we got an assessment for 350, but even with the 350, that's conditioning of if it's being fully rented. So I don't believe the market value to be before.
Right, understood. Let me just, hold that thought for a moment. So you have a land value on that?
We've got an assessed land value of 60,000 even.
60,000 even. Okay, and then you believe that the property is worth $210,000, is that correct? Okay, so that would be an equatable assessed value of $135,450. So let me explain those numbers for a minute. So the city has a current tentative assessed value of $280,000, okay? So the assessed value is 64.5% of the value of the property. So that's where we get the $434,109, okay? So now you believe the property's worth $210,000. So if that is the case, then your assessed value would be $135,450. Okay, and for tax purposes, that the assessed value is used. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to try to determine what the market value is of the property.
Oh, I strongly believe the assessed value should be the 221, not the
Oh, okay,
market value. So
Okay.
that's what I put in there, the city assessed value, the taxable assessed value.
okay, so you believe that the assessed value
Around there,
should be 210,000.
yes, so I mean, the market value should be about around I-2,
Okay.
I-200, 300.
So we're on the same page there. Okay, so we believe that the assessed value should be 210,000. So therefore, what's the market value on a $210,000 assessed value? And we'll see how that figure just with what you're thinking.
325.
325?
If it's fully rented, but it's not. Okay, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, all right, very good. All right, 325. Okay, so, how many unit is, what type of property is this?
It's a mixed use, 2 commercial and 1, and 4 residential on the second floor. But the thing was, I was here last year.
Yeah, I think I remember.
Yes, with the same property, and then the city, I think, we got a note for about like a 3-year that the tax is not going to increase, but we did receive another year. I mean, a few months ago, I received another letter saying another change of $80,000. I mean, $70,000. So I'm not sure why we should receive another.
Yeah.
I think there might be some confusion. The property's got a new 485B exemption based on the renovations about 18 months ago. Could that be what you were thinking? It's probably a 10-year partial exemption. So maybe that's the letter you were thinking of from a couple of years ago?
No, I mean, I was here to argue the tax as well last year. And
Okay.
it was fully renovated last year, and then we explained that. But it was one of the vacant property, I mean, one of the commercial was vacant. It's still vacant right now. It was rented for a short time, and then the code enforcement just shut us down and pulled it up. They believe there was some illegal activities going on with the tenants, but the police couldn't find anything. But and then the next day,
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt ordinarily. There was a dispensary operating out of the space, and that was one of our chief questions as to whether they're still under a lease. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but the police surely didn't find that there was nothing wrong there. The police just has not been imbued with the power from New York State to shut down a dispensary, whereas codes can. But no, that was a question we had. The dispensary took the storefront in June, I believe, closed sometime later, August, okay, 2 months of operation, their sign is still up. We did not know whether they're still under lease or not.
No, they moved, I mean, they stopped coming right after August.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, the sign was already removed, but then, but for a very long time, you should know that, since December of 2021, I was looking for a tenant. And then they were the first one, they moved in around like June, and then some activities going on, and it was shut down in August. It's still vacant since then, I'm still looking for tenants. And the biggest issue with that spot is there's lack of parking space. So it's hard to find tenant. I mean, even if they want to do a retail or restaurant or even anything, we can provide parking.
Right.
There's only like 5 or 6 parking spaces in the back. And the other storefront is currently used as a convenience store. And the rent was $1,800, but they've been struggling for over a year. So now the rent is reduced to $1,000. The space is pretty, pretty reasonable size, but it's just that lack of traffic and so many competition. So right now they just, even with the $1,000 rent, they offer 2 months right now.
All right, so I'm understanding that there's 2 commercial spaces on the first floor. One's currently vacant. It was rented for a couple, 3 months, but pretty much been vacant for a year and a half. Okay, and then we have a convenience.
No, just since August. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Vacant prior to?
Prior to.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then the convenience store is on the other side. Then you said there's 4 units upstairs?
Yeah, 4 units upstairs.
And what do we have up there? Those are residential?
Residentials,
And those are all rented?
I mean, on and off, some moving in and out, and the turnover rate is pretty quick because the activity's going on, and then it's on a commercial street, so we're not having a lot of tenants.
How long have you owned it?
Since December 2019.
2019. And this was, do you live on the premises?
I don't.
No. And so this was
2-minute
the
warning.
income scenario
Yes.
for you?
It was vacant for about like 18 or 20 years.
The whole building?
The whole building was vacant for a
So
very
you
long
bought
time.
it, and what did you pay for it?
130.
130,000
Yes.
in 2019.
Yes.
And then what did you put into it money-wise for renovation to get it up and running?
About 60,000. We stretched over like 6 months for the renovation. Around 60,000.
Okay. Matt, anything we want to add here?
Certainly, we were operating under a misapprehension on taxable status date that there was a paying tenant in the westerly storefront. I don't know that there's hard evidence of that, but Grievant is under oath, and we'll take her at her word. The parking situation, no doubt there's not a lot of off-street parking. The perception that there's not a lot of parking obviously exists. The owner of the corner store loves to pull his Toyota minivan onto the sidewalk and block ADA access to the sidewalk. But, our comps are city buildings that also have limited to no off-street parking. Sales comps do support this. But, there is no doubt that we were valuing a fully leased building, and that is not the case.
And also, I want to add that the parking spot reserved to the upstairs tenants. I want one per spot, so we purposely on the lease say for the commercial, and then even the future tenant will buy one soon. We can guarantee those spots for them.
Okay. And certainly not for the public.
And
Yeah.
then it's like a corner lot, so I don't know. It's just that I'm a licensed realtor as well, so I've been trying to.
Oh, yeah, you said something about you were trying to sell it?
At one point, yeah, but it's just like
What
We
were
are
you
at
asking?
time.
What were you asking?
$399.
$399.
Yeah, but it's just it's not listed, but it's like a spread to the community, but nobody on the client.
Okay.
You're gonna get this market, which is like the way the residential structure. You can tell, like I can't guarantee like a long-term tenant there. It's just not like a cozy family living space.
Yeah, I think ideally if the family lived upstairs and then ran the commercial spaces
Yeah,
downstairs, that'd be
The 2 months
awesome.
that I leased the other store for, two of my tenants moved out because they were music and a lot of traffic in and out. And it's the owner, then their customer park on their parking spot, so even if that 2 months of rent is not worth my time to be here. And I was having a lot of call enforcement, like the director emailed me a few times to shut down that place, and I have to get my attorney involved to, give them 30 days notice to move.
Wow,
But
yeah,
my attorney advised me that if there's no actual action, if there's no police enforcement, I can, they have a lease, and they do pay the rent, so I have to go through, I can't just tell them you have to close. And
Yep.
then the next thing I know is the code enforcement just boarded up our space without notice.
yep, yep. I think they wouldn't give you notice on something like that.
I think it's our daily reminder that New York State dropped the ball on the cannabis rollout and left private property owners and code enforcement and everybody else holding the bag to clean up their mess. I'm sympathetic to that. That was not to make light of the property owner situation. Those are legitimate concerns.
Okay, do you have some pictures you want to leave us?
Yes, even with this is the convenience store that I was, and then they got robbed about 4 times this past year, and then they had to put these on all the windows. So I mean, again, it's not in the best neighborhood, even though it's within the university area, but it's on the East Bay side. So I mean, on Christmas this year, they got another break-in.
Okay,
So,
okay, yeah,
take those.
yeah, that would be
And
helpful.
like their business is really struggling. It just took that a few days ago, so they don't have a lot of funding to put out of stocks in their store, and their
Yeah.
rent is very behind. And we keep dropping the rent, and they don't want to move. It's like a small
Wow,
business.
and this place is open.
It's open. It's right now.
Yeah, they don't have too much inventory. Okay. Well, we'll take everything into consideration that you have said. Matt, anything else you want to add?
No, thanks. I think the city will.
But I was just confused that because when I was here last year, I think I did mention something about the tax remain the same for the 3-year stretch, and then when I received the number.
Yeah, so I'm not.
Yeah, we don't have
familiar
any,
with that.
in my notes from 2 years ago, February 21, there is mention to some confusion about a stipulation freezing the assessment from 2020. We had no record of that, but it's obviously come up before. I'd love to provide something more concrete, but we don't have anything, so I apologize.
Well, I'm not sure, I'm not sure what, I don't recall. I do have my notes from last year. I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, because with even though the assessed value is like reasonable, but it's a 6 unit, so there's a lot of the sewage things add on to our tax bills. So the tax bill alone with the 2 years of a rate is already like over 8,000 per year.
Okay. All right, very good. So I've got some notes here, and we'll take a close look at this, and then we'll send out a notice first week of April.
Okay.
But I hope things get better for you there. Okay, thank you for coming in.
That are on there, 9:50 and 10 o'clock, I believe it is. Those are both non-hearings, so I'm holding those up there for right now.
I'm sorry to interrupt again. I'm doing that a lot today. Could we read in 1,000 for James? We've got a stip, and I think
Stip
we'll
on
just
that
make it disappear today.
Perfect.
Okay.
So these are for right after that one. I'll
Okay.
go grab that one, but these are that next group there.
Beautiful. Tell you that Michelle is on the ball, I'm telling you.
used to be.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to 1004 James Street. This, I believe, is going to be number 6 on our calendar. Yeah, 1004 James Street and Oak Street. This is a non-hearing. This is a media studio, current tentative assessment of $1,200,000 with a land value of $150,000. Market value at that would be $1,860,000. I'm sorry, $1,860,465. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $1,300,000, which would be an assessed value of $838,500. Okay, and then I believe that Matt said there's a stipulation to this?
We did, yes. We believed this was overassessed. We stipulated to $780,000 assessed value. I believe the signed stipulation is probably working its way through the mail right now.
It's 780.
Michelle, does 780 sound right? I believe 780 is the number.
$780,000 assessed value.
Assessed value, yeah.
Okay, made some notes. And that would be a market value of $1,209,302.33. So $1,209,302.33 would be the market value. On a $780,000 assessed value. Okay, that sounds good. I think we're in good shape with that. And, looks like we have some other properties here. Okay, this is Nob Hill Apartments.
No, Nob Hill is the other non-hearing.
Oh, the other non-hearing.
This is the 100 to 02 Greenwood Place.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Okay, I was reading off of the sheet.
Shall we read in Nob Hill? Just do our dance.
I could, that's up to you. What we've been doing is just when we've got somebody here, just
Yeah.
have them do it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Mary's got a full
Yeah.
plate, I know. Here I was asking to bring the people who aren't here up before you are while you're having a good time. Sorry, Mary.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, that'd be fine. How are you?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Mary.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Likewise.
Mark Campbell.
Okay. So it says on here non-hearing, but obviously that's not the case.
I'm not here for Nob Hill though.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the ones you're here for, although on the top of it, it
That
says.
non-hearing is for the,
Non-hearing executive properties.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yep, and up top there.
It took me a second this morning, I got there.
Okay, yes, because it's underneath 1004 James Street also. Okay, all right, so you're here for Greenwood Place, so on and so
Yes.
forth. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties?
That would be it.
Okay, Before I swear you in, are there any particular, or is there any particular
However
order?
you'd like to take it, Ms. Fowler.
All right, so I'll take them as we have them on the sheet, which will be 100-02 Greenwood Place first. But again, I'll swear you in 1 minute.
So that'll be number 7.
Number 7, 100-2 Greenwood Place. Okay, if I could just swear you in. Yep, raise your right hand. State your name for the record.
Mary Hunter?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, the first property, 100-02 Greenwood Place. I'll just take a moment to read a few things into the record. City looks like supplied some information and some comps. I'm not getting to the petition application. This is a two-family residence built in the 1900s. Current assessed value of tentative assessed value $160,000 with a land value of $8,500. The market value on that would be $248,062. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $100,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $64,500. Okay. So what can you tell us about this?
This is, as you mentioned, the two-family residence built in the 1900s. I did attach for the board's information a copy of a picture that I took off the internet. It's a two-family house. It's the last house that sits right before the park. It's owned by one of the Zavaglia children, who we just happened to do work with for a number of years, and this was the one that was the thorn in the side, so he asked me if I would take a look at it for him and file a grievance. I did provide you with the financials for 2021 and 22, together with the lease information, and then there was a comparable sale. I'm not sure which ones the assessors may have found, but attached to the filed grievance was one down the street at 420 Greenwood Place that sold for $160,000, a two-family residence, noted as an arm's length sale on June 13th, 2022 for $160,000. This is a property that they enter into a lease, a year's lease. No one ever really stays there for a year. It's a piece of property that they continually have to put money into for those who vacate it. And it's just been a troublesome property, but one he tried to sell in 2019 for $125,000, but didn't get any offers for it. So when he saw the increase this year, he asked for the board's consideration for a reduction based upon the income and the comparable sale down the street.
Now, the sale down the street, you said sold for $160,000.
Correct.
Okay. And so he's thinking his property's worth $100,000.
Well, I put 100 because that's what it was previously assessed for, and last one he was asking 125, he was unable to sell it, so that's the number that was inserted in the agreement.
Okay. Matt?
This is the 17th Ward. Not necessarily my area of expertise, but I, without having had a conversation with the ward assessor about 420, I do think there was something a little squirrely about that property, whether it was bedroom count or maybe it was built as a single family and it's just got a, I don't know, recently constructed kitchen upstairs, I don't know, but we didn't use that as a comp. We do have, sorry, go ahead.
Something that squirrely was about the subject or about the sale?
I think about the physical inventory. I think
okay.
I
I
think
mean, if you take a ride by it, and I did take a ride by it.
brown, right?
No, it's kind of greenish.
Oh.
You give it the-
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the subject, right?
Yes.
Oh, no, I know that property well. Well, not well, but, no, I was 420.
Yellow.
That's not brown either, huh? Well, it is 5 beds. It could be. I'm thinking of one that many of us know, recently purchased to live in. But, well, it's one fewer bedroom. It's a recent sale. I'd have to learn more about it before I can speak knowledgeably. Thanks, Sue. We do have 4 sales comps in the last 18 months, all within, about a block. 2 blocks generously defined around the neighborhood. 424 Greenwood, 202,000, 617 Clarendon, 275, 1326 Madison, 168, and 709 Clarendon, 310. I did not see rents in the grievance. Quick online search suggested that it's getting $1,200 per flat. Take that with some grains of salt. I know a gentleman who was in on Greenwood last week was talking about renting by the bedroom for a little more than that. But between what might be contract rent and what market is, we think that really does support our number.
What is he getting for rents?
One is $950 and one is $1,100. But if you look at the 2021, you can see how this is a troubled property. When we look at the income in 2021 from his tax return, it was $3,500. If you look at his income in 2020, it was $1,300. If you go to the grievance and look at 2022, it's just one that keeps fluctuating because these are not long-term tenants. This is not a property where you keep somebody in there for 2 years, 3 years. It's more transient type occupancy.
Greenwood's funny, we've got, I think, some of each on that block. There are some real old timers, owners and renters alike, but certainly among grad students and even undergrads, there would be those 9-month residents.
Probably the worst looking property on the street.
It doesn't present well to the pool house at Thorndon, I can say that.
Well, no, it's really, and when I had gone up there, I looked at it online and I said, it can't look that bad in person. And it looked that bad in person.
It's not the worst on the block, but
condition
it's
bad.
far from the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, closed in,
Yeah.
former front porch, all that, yeah. It's not attractive.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes.
There's a new person at the table and I'm not sure who it is.
This gentleman here. This,
Hi, Trevor, I'm Mary Hunter.
Nice
Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Are you with the Corporation Counsel's office?
I am sitting in on meetings at the procedural front here about the procedural meetings on and all applicable
Oh, okay.
rules.
All right, thank you. I just hadn't seen your face before.
yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Introduce.
You look about 12.
That's a new low there, Trevor.
Well, welcome.
Harder when I go to PG-13.
He's gonna say, it's a new low age, Trevor. That's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing,
No.
right? I'd take it in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
I'd be happy if somebody said I look 50.
Somebody said Trevor looked 50?
No, in fact, somebody said I look 50.
Oh, I'd take it in lunch, Chuck.
I would.
You'd be happy if somebody said you were still alive.
Oh, here we go. He's always got to come out with something. Always,
You're
always.
my buddy. You're my buddy.
I'm a straight man.
And we need one of those. Okay, so next property I have is 807 Comstock Ave. Okay, so this property here is residential vacant land, 807 Comstock Avenue to Ostrom Ave. Current tentative assessment of $65,000 with a land value of $65,000. That would be an equatable market value of $100,775. Okay. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $65,000, which would be an assessed value of $41,925. So this is up in the university area. Again, $41,925. Okay,
And
was
these
this
are also-
before us last year?
It was,
or-
it
Yeah.
was 807 and 809 Comstock Ave to Ostrom Ave,
Okay.
which are two vacant lots.
Should I read that in too?
If you'd like to, we could talk about them together, if that's okay.
Let's do that. 809 Comstock Ave to Ostrom Avenue.
So are they both number 8?
Let's go 8 and 9.
Okay.
Okay, again, this is a residential vacant lot, 90 feet by 180 feet. Current tentative assessed value, $85,000. Which would be a market value of $131,783. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $85,000, which would be an assessed value of $54,825. Okay.
These again are two vacant residential lots that were the subject of hearings last year, and they were reduced last year by the board.
Oh, for this one.
Attached was the appraisal that was prepared last year by John
are you
Mako,
discussing
and
this?
I don't know what the relationship between George Sarkis
Oh,
and the
you're the owner,
university
okay.
is, but
Are you gonna
whatever
be
it
at
is,
the
it's not
table?
good.
Okay.
And these have maintained and been part
there,
of
just like
zoning
your name.
for R1, single-family residences, and that's all that can be built on this lot. So, no matter the variances, there's a discrepancy and a feud that goes on between the university, and now there's
Thank you.
George Sarkis involved in trying to do something with that lot, and no one will approve any type of a variance as it relates to multifamily housing or commercial use. So this is one, somehow, because of our relationship with George Sarkis over a 45-year period, he asked that I file a grievance again. He found it coincidentally that the board reduced the assessment to the full market value of the appraisals last year, and asked for the board's consideration this year to at least apply that full market value with the equalization rate to come up with a fair assessment.
And who has to approve the variance on these?
The city, but there's a struggle with the university, and John Black, you may be aware of that. Because this has been ongoing for a number of years.
So are you saying that the university is influencing the city not to change the variance?
I think there's been continued dialogue between those two entities that keeps it zoned what it is.
Okay,
I don't know that as a fact.
right.
However,
I just wanted to
I'm
get
going
my, I
with,
was
I'm
just
just going
curious
with
as
the
to,
client's theory because he's been unable to do anything with the lots. He continues to mow them, clean up the trash that, you know, the students on either side leave on that property. He tried to put a tent up there one day for a not-for-profit, and the city told him he couldn't put the tent up there, he couldn't do anything before game days. So they're just two vacant lots that nobody's gonna buy them for $125,000 and build a single-family residence in the university area.
and that's what they're currently zoned for.
Correct.
Okay. And,
I'll agree on the zoning, but maybe now that SU bought 803, or excuse me, 813, paid 400,000 for it and then took it down, maybe something's
But the best
brewing.
part is they're tax exempt.
Not on that lot, they're not.
Which one, 8?
813, they're not exempt. They didn't never ask for one on that one.
Well, they will
So-
when the tax bill comes out.
So I do have a few sales.
Zoned residential.
It's same residential,
But
yes.
do you think that, is there any application pending for a variance?
Not that I know of, but, yeah, not that we've seen any, but I'm just saying, they didn't buy it for 400 and then take it down for nothing. Maybe they did, but they haven't answered any questions. This is the university, what their intent to do with that property. So the fact that it's on Comstock, eventually, maybe if, there ever comes a time when George and has to, come together. But with that being said, I do have some, a few sales, residential lot sales, again, on, a few blocks to the east, not on Comstock Ave. And look, I have a picture of the lot with a tent on it.
I see. City made them take it
And the little porta potty, but, so I will submit this. There's one for everybody, but there's a few sales on Buckingham. So, you guys did reduce it before, but, so.
Did reduce it, right?
The assessment was reduced to the full market value of the appraised value, which George wondered why. Was it a coincidence that they were reduced to the assessment was reduced to the full market value? Both of them.
Yeah. No, I
Go
don't-
back in your memory and,
Yeah, I got my notes, so I'm gonna go back and look.
All right.
I keep my notes till the.
I drive
last
by it
year,
every
till the
day
end of
when
this
I
year.
take the long way to work and
Okay,
do that.
all right, no, all right, we'll take a look at it again,
Thank you.
and I understand what you're asking. Okay, so then, let's go with 1847-65 Burnett Avenue at Woodbine Ave. This will be number 10 on our list.
It's, Herald Estates, let me see.
This is a commercial building, 40-unit apartments. 1 and 2 bedroom. Let's see here. Do we have 2 bedroom? There's 22 bedrooms and,
Of the 40 units, 1 is a 2-bedroom.
Okay.
20 is a 1-bedroom.
Okay.
And 19 are studios,
All right.
like motel rooms.
gotcha. And no kitchen sinks, only in bathrooms as far as the studios are concerned. 7 units are vacant, so that would be 17.5% vacancy currently. Current tentative assessment, $1,155,000 with a land value of $69,200. That would be an equatable market value of $1,790,698. Okay, and then the petitioner believes that the fair market value is $1 million, which would put the equatable assessed value at $645,000. If I could just flip through for a moment. Got some income and expense information. Rent roll. Okay. What can you tell us about this?
This is one of the properties that's owned by Wayne Knapp, who's been a property owner in the university area for as long as I've been around. And he owns several apartment complexes in the area, and this is the only one that he found asked us to take a harder look at, only because of the composition of the type of units that are in this property. Since of the 40 units, 19 of the units are literally hotel rooms. They're a bed, a dresser, whatever they bring in. There's no kitchen, and then there's a bathroom. So the setup is normally just like a hotel room. This property was increased from $720,000 last year, an equalized full value of 1.1 and change, to this year's assessment of $1,155,000 to almost $1.8 million. Attached to the grievance is the 2022 income and expense statement and the rent roll, and the property owner is also responsible for all the utilities related to this project. And when you look at the rent roll, the rents are in the $500, $535, $550, $649, $790 a unit. So when you do take that into consideration with the vacancy, the expenses, based upon the drop in the equalization rate, last year's assessment was probably more fair.
Okay.
And I just didn't know if the city was aware of the composition of these types of apartments.
Institutionally, I don't know. Personally, between me and Ann, we're a little surprised. I think with that inventory discrepancy,
Okay.
let's.
Can we,
take that.
well, yeah, can we walk through it?
You want to walk through? Okay.
This is the 5th ward, right?
I think it's 6, is it 5 or 6?
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
5th word?
Yeah, fifth ward assessor obviously being out. This caught us a little by surprise.
Okay.
He'd know, but we're not going to
Okay.
bother him. We'll get to the bottom of the inventory question.
Well, and it's perfect because there's 7 vacant units, so we'll be able to
Yeah.
get
Right. Okay.
So that's
Disturb
perfect.
somebody's home if we can avoid
Right,
it.
I'll make arrangements for that, thank you.
Okay, all right, that sounds good, and then you get back to us after that. Okay, that sounds good.
I did attach a picture, I think, just so you know what it looks like. It sits right on the corner.
I don't know if I saw a picture. I was flipping through.
Oh, there it is. It's attached to the.
Yeah, okay.
hotel, yeah.
Yep.
Just so you kind of get a.
Yeah, I've seen this before.
Okay.
Yep. Driven by, I will drive by and maybe I'll come on a walk through.
Okay. Okay.
Is there a better time or a time to avoid?
That's up to you guys. I'm
Okay.
pretty
Let's
flexible.
try for the week of the 4th, 5th, whatever that.
March.
Got a pretty full schedule.
Okay.
First full week.
Okay. I might have a roast in the oven that week, but
You got that
I'll
thing?
work around it.
You'll work around it?
Yeah,
Okay.
what the heck. All right. So 404 Oak Street. We've got some information provided by the city, just general information. This is a 19,650 square foot office building, built in 1970. Let's see, we've got 7,373 square foot leased, 12,277 square feet vacant, 62% vacant. Current assessed value tentative $780,000, with a land value of with a land value of $75,800, a current equatable market value of $1,209,302. We have a petitioner's fair market value of $400,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $258,000. And let me just flip through a little bit here to see if there's anything else. Looks like we got a rent roll attached. Let's see, so this is, I think I know the building. There's a sign, big sign out front. It's behind the building on the corner.
WSYT building.
Yeah, and bunch of lease occupant signs. Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I know the building.
This is not the building. Remember the gentleman last week talking about the water runoff onto his property, his residential this is not that building. Okay.
Right. He's further in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Channel 5, I think, behind there.
Gotcha.
What was he,
I
Seward?
that's why I came in the middle on that, but missed the address.
Is this for us?
Yeah, you can keep it.
Yeah.
Pulled it off the internet.
Yep, no, that's the, yeah, there's the signage. Okay, okay, fair enough.
So 404 Oak Street, and I guess I end up kind of coming full circle because this was the first property I worked on back in 1983. John Black. This property was historically owned by Longley Jones entities. Longley Jones owned 1010 James Street, and they had bought the 404 Oak Street, which was always Sherwood Finn's wanted to complain about because this building was never the building it was anticipated to be. This is a multi-user building. It's, as you'll notice from the rent roll, it's all broken up into small spaces, 175 square feet, 255 square feet. There's no elevator in the building. It's not ADA accessible. It really never been updated. And tenants move in, move out, move in, move out. This received an increase in assessment this year from $295,000 with an equalized full value of $453 and change to an assessment of $780,000 to an equalized full value of $1,200,000. When the only, and I say improvements were done was, you know, fixing the sidewalk, putting in new lanai flooring, maintaining some consistency for these various tenants to stay. They don't stay. John Gosta is the owner of this property. He was fortunate enough to speak with Joe from the assessor's office, and I apologize, I don't know Joe's last name.
Lesnow.
Okay, Lesnow. And Joe did come over and personally inspect the building on January 24th. That was prior to the grievance being filed. Joe did indicate that he would share with the commissioner his findings as a result of the inspection, but I understand he was going to have a baby, so he wasn't going to be around. But if you'll take a look at the expenses that it takes to operate this multi-occupancy building, the income, the expenses, I understand at least what Joe mentioned was the 295 assessment previously was an unfinished assessment. So what I did provide the board with were various submissions that Dave Clifford and John Gazda had worked consistently together, sharing a host of information as it related to the deficiencies in this building. So, and when you review the income, the expenses, and the rent roll at $61 a square foot, that seems to be most excessive.
And
2-minute warning.
how long was it unfinished?
I don't have that handy.
I put the unfinished assessment on the property 6 years ago. The owner of the property had grandiose plans. He was, and based on what was just stated, it doesn't appear as if that was the case.
So he had an unfinished assessment for 6 years.
Right.
which is only supposed to be for a year.
And he had tenants in the building too, which you don't typically have unfinished on buildings that are occupied.
Right.
But occupied at 35 and 40%, when you're getting, you know,
Well, what was he supposed to do over those 6 years for an unfinished assessment?
The building is tired, extremely tired.
Did he wake it up, or did he not do anything?
According to Joe with the walkthrough, and I think Joe's got pretty good photos, he woke it up, but it is still, it's better than it's better than Class C, but it is falling a little short of Class B. It's less than desirable office space, not banner tenants. We are,
and it's always had that history. It's because of the multi-tenancy. I mean, how long do people come in and stay at 220 square feet?
Understood, but, you know,
we,
if you give, you know, I mean, what he probably should have done was, you know, place goes vacant, give it a complete facelift and, you know, upgrade
John Ross is a
tenant.
pretty sophisticated property owner. He owns property in Geddes, Onondaga, DeWitt, Syracuse, Salina. So he's not someone who doesn't attend to his properties. This one, based upon, I will tell you, 1983, this is the story of this building. This is one that for whatever reason, hasn't been able to make it work.
Get over the hump, yeah.
There was a sale, and I'm sure that the commissioner is aware of it, at 901 Lola Street, which
that's got a big asterisk on it.
Oh, well, I guess I took a look at it.
It's a data point. It is an arm's length transaction, but if there is a more, yeah, so if there's a more notorious block at this time in the city of Syracuse, I'm not aware of it. It was on the market for a long time, and Falcone had leased pretty nice building, underground parking. Falcone was already into new leased space, and at that point they needed to get a deal done and get it out from under them. That's right. Yeah. After being on the market for
For an extended
a
time.
long time.
Yeah.
On the subject, yeah, and that's $34 a square foot, I think. On the subject, you know, our staff did find an $872,000 mortgage on the property. That said, I don't think I'm giving away any state secrets in saying that $780 for an assessed value is high, as a physical increase that accompanied taking the unfinished off. I take Joe's word for it after the walkthrough that we've got a better number, I think, to probably meet in the middle. Happy to give that to the board to marry however anybody wants to get a little closer on this one.
Okay. I'm going to just make a note to get that figure. And we'll take it from there. Okay, all right,
I'm all
so,
set?
yeah. We will send you 5 separate notices first week of April.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming
the
out.
board's time.
Thank you very much.
Trevor was no.
Stepping on something, I don't know if that's something that belongs to you or not.
I think it's part of the microphone.
Not anymore.
Is it coherent?
No,
Yeah, I think
it
you're right.
doesn't look like.
Oh, there's two missing.
Oh, yes,
Well,
I'm just gonna do this.
so it's here.
got a few that are missing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mary. We'll be in touch.
We have the next. There.
And then we got these guys here. So they were. All right, fair enough. That sounds good.
There's all
Yeah,
of
just 5
those.
minutes, so. We're just gonna take a 5-minute break.
Okay.
Just to hit the restroom. How are you? Good. I got your files here. We can. to Kevin prior to. We've got the order, and which is pretty much the order on the sheet. The first one will be number 12 for our purposes, the board. Let me swear you in. Got your right hand up. State your name for the record.
Kevin Rowe.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. So the first one is 401 Smith. Is that a standalone by itself?
That one is, yes.
Okay.
And as I mentioned before, these are all cases that are currently in litigation. They were filed last year by Mary's office, City Solicitor's office. So they're all in litigation. We're just filing these to preserve our rights, but the A&W.
Let me read it in then.
Okay.
But that's good. We'll make that note for all of them. City has submitted just some general information on the property. Let me just get to the petition application. Okay, so this is 401 Smith Street and Polk Street. It is 58 studio apartments. Current tentative assessed value of $1,850,000 with a land value of $82,200. And the equatable market value on that is $2,868,217. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $1,250,000, which would be an assessed value of $806,250. Assessed value. Chuck, we're just doing the first one here, 401 Smith Street. Thank you. Yep, that's the information right there. Okay, and just to repeat, for the record, Kevin, you said this is currently in litigation. Okay. Anything particular you want to tell us about this?
No, I mean, not much more than what's in the grievance, but these are studio apartments. This is a property located kind of up behind Erie Boulevard, on the hill to the south.
Yep. Yes.
Studio apartments, they were rehabbed a couple of years ago, and there was a partial exemption on the properties as a result of that rehab. I did attach some in 2022 income information, which shows a net income, net of real estate taxes of less than $100,000, which would indicate a value somewhere between $850,000 and $1 million, depending on what cap rate you use with the tax load on it. It does still suffer from a lot of vacancy, but so the $1,250,000 is really kind of a stabilized number we figure as the rehab takes place, and maybe the occupancy will rise a little bit. It might, instead of asking for $1 million, we're asking for $1,250,000. And kind of a stabilized basis. So, but it's a property. It's these are studio apartments. They're kind of not really attractive to students, and they have trouble filling. That's really what the problem is. So that's all that I have. We have the income information. We have I think in response to your additional information request, we submitted a rent roll that was as of January 2022. I don't have a current one, but the January 2022, I think, is relevant to the most recent year. And that shows about a 50% vacancy rate.
Okay. And how many years this has been in litigation?
Just one.
Just one.
Yeah, this is the first year. Any questions?
No, I think we're in good shape there, Matt.
Not much further to add. Yeah, the ward assessor and I did walk through this December 20 when it was less than desirable shape, applied and unfinished, as renovation was substantially completed according to codes. We put the bump on, offered the partial exemption on the improvement, and in litigation now.
Okay, all right, based on that, okay. All right, so then we have 115 North Warren. Is this a standalone also?
This is a standalone, yes.
Okay. So this will be number 13 on our list. 115 North Warren Street and James Street. We've got some general information from the city. And I'll read it in. This is a 221 space parking lot. Current tentative assessment of $1,025,000 with a land value of $1,025,000. The equatable market value on that is $1,589,147. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $400,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $258,000. Yeah, I'm just flipping through real quick. Again, Kevin said this is in litigation. How many years is this in?
Just 1 year.
Okay. And go ahead with that.
Okay, this is a parking lot that's up near Samaritan Center, kind of under the I-81 area there.
So just a point of correction, it's on the other side of South Warren. It's on the west side, or North Warren. It's on the west side of the street. So
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. It is near the Samaritan Center. I only mention that because the property owners have said that, although they're very supportive of the Samaritan Center, it's caused a lot of problems for them in terms of vandalism, and so they have to have an on-site security guard, or an on-site personnel there all the time. So it causes an expense that they wouldn't normally have for a parking lot. So they have to have it kind of all the time. And this is another one, suppose the impact on office buildings from COVID has also affected these kind of properties, these parking lots, and their usage. We did attach the 2022 financial information, which shows a net operating income net of taxes of about $90,000. And we've done a sort of a little analysis that shows a variety of capitalization rates applied with that, and it comes out to a full value of somewhere between, depending on the cap rate, from $715,000 to $850,000, which would indicate an assessment in the $450,000 to $550,000 range. We're looking for a reduction, and that's similar to what was requested last year.
Okay.
All the information, all the financial information is all there.
So the last one, this one, first year, was the assessment increase?
has not been a change on this property since I've been here, at least. Not in the last 5 years, I would say, give or take. I haven't looked up the full history of it, but none in recent memory. We've been flat at $1,025,000. I think there was some stipulation on that, perhaps. It was frozen for a time?
Got burned off.
Out of litigation, or just a kind of a
I think it was
informal?
It was informal for 3 years.
Okay. So yeah, this came off prior to last year, I believe.
And so that came off, and I think the impact of, just the financial impact that they've had, because of COVID and, the other things I mentioned, the fact that they didn't attend it there full time, caused them to file last year. impact of the taxes is, makes it hard to sustain.
Did they attempt to have a discussion with you before?
We spoke with Mary last year. I have spoken to one of the members of the ownership group, but not about this particular escalating situation with the external situation in this. We're sympathetic to those aspects. We're only as good as the data we have, which are a little light since COVID, but we just, we've got to pay attention to the sales comparison approach, and there just don't exist data points suggesting a lower assessed value than this on what is an income-producing parking lot, but is also a piece of land. Reducing this would...
I missed that last part. It's also what?
Land, just not raw land, it's improved land, but to bring this down to what petitioner is asking would just blow the bottom out of what we see as the land market locally.
Yeah, it does have to be assessed as an existing use, though.
Current use is certainly something we adhere to.
Not highest and best use, so.
Nope, but I struggle to wrap my head around the idea that the value of this land used as a parking lot is diminished because it is used as a parking lot, and management is having a bad year or 3.
It's been more than a couple. It's been a few years.
A year or 3, yeah.
It's pretty consistent, I think, the decline, and office occupancy has gone down, and that affects parking.
Okay.
I guess my chief question would be for petitioner's client would be if they were to put it on the open market, what might they ask? Obviously, they needed a support for their adjoining office building, so it's academic, but...
Well, if they're going to sell for development purposes, that'd be a highest and best use sale, which is not...
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay. Got enough information there. Now, is 818 and 822 together?
Yes. Okay. These are also I'll let you read it.
Yeah, I'll read, I should read both of them in that. At the same time?
Yeah, that's great.
All right. So for our purposes, 14 and 15, but I will read them both in at the same time. 818 East Fayette Street to Wellington Place. We've got some general property information from the city. And let me go ahead and read the application in. So this is a parking lot consisting of 53 spaces operated together with parcel number 048.02-03.1, additional 48 spaces, which I'll assume is 822 Fayette Street East.
Yeah.
Okay. The current tentative assessed value is $700,000 with a land value of $700,000. This is 818, which would bring the market value to $1,085,271. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $180,000, which would bring the fair market, the assessed value down to $116,100. Okay, and what I will do is go ahead and read into the record 822 Fayette Street. Is this the first year for this?
No, this is a continuation of last year's one. These are in litigation as well. Just 1 year.
Once again, 822 East Fayette Street and Irving Avenue, city has submitted some general property information. This is a parking lot consisting of 48 spaces operated together with 818 East Fayette Street, additional 53 spaces. Current tentative assessed value of $200,000 with a land value of $200,000. Market value on that would be $310,078. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $165,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $106,425. Yeah, this is in litigation also. 1 year. And what can you tell us about these two?
Well, frankly, the real issue here is 822. The 818 Fayette property, the one's assessed at $700,000. We filed them both because they operate together, even though they're under different ownership. They operate together as a parking lot, a single parking lot. They rent from Ms. Norton, they rent a portion of the property and then use it as a parking lot. They have a lease with Upstate for most of the, for a lot of the parking spaces. I think that what prompted the increase in this property last year was the sale of the adjacent parcel, I assume.
The re-subdivision, but.
Re-subdivision, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good example, I guess, of a highest and best use sale of a piece of property. This property is in current use as a parking lot, and the income and expense statements indicate, it's substantially overvalued, overassessed, based upon the current income, which is, it's market rates for parking spaces. I'd say the other thing, the owners emphasized to me, even though the adjacent parcel sold for redevelopment at a substantial price, this property is not capable of that same kind of use. It's so small at this point that you couldn't really develop it that same way anyway, and access issues and so forth. So it needs to be valued according to its current use, which is as a parking lot, and we're just relying on the income expense statements for that, which indicate that the 818 especially is substantially overassessed. Really, you have a 53 space lot and a 48 space lot, and one is $700,000 and one is $200,000 is really, I don't know what the explanation is for that differential. But we think that the 53 space lot should be assessed similarly to the other parcel. So that's again, this is in litigation, and and there's 1 year pending.
Yeah, so a little feedback on the difference.
Well, it is in litigation. We can't get too deeply into it, except that we do treat these really distinctly. Dr. Norton's property got a bump in 2022. In all likelihood, would have gotten a bump this year. This was a modest bump, brought the lot up to $200,000 total assessed value, $19.85 a square foot, full market, which is, well within the bracketed range of sales of parking lots, current and future use parking lots around that Midtown University Hill neighborhood. The other one was a newly created parcel for roll year 2022, created when the historic parcel 800 East Fayette was re-subdivided into 800 to 808 East Fayette and 818 East Fayette. When that happens, we need to reflect market value. We've got parking lot comps that we thought justified that. if we were looking at highest and best use, we might have assessed it at 120 a square foot, assessed, full market of assessed, but we didn't. We are treating it as the parking lot that it is. But it is that historical background, one being a physical change created by the establishment of a new parcel via resub, and the other just a reassessment of an existing lot, that has led to what looks like a very unusual discrepancy between the two. That said, I don't think there are too many holes to poke in 822, 1985 a square foot. Boy, it's hard to find a parking lot anywhere near the Hill or the Central Business District that might sell for under 1985 a square foot.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the 818 is the real issue here, in terms of.
Yeah.
Because they operate together, we thought, and the income statements are together, we thought it was best to put them both before you.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we'll take a closer look at why it's changed there.
We are on the final 10 minutes.
Okay. Right, so now I'm assuming 126 and 138 are together?
Yeah.
Okay. So this will be, 16 and 17 on our list. Read them both in. 126 North Jamesville Avenue. We've got some general property information from the city. And then we've got the petition. This is a 140-unit apartment complex, including the property located at 138 Jamesville, which I will read in. Current tentative assessment of $5,200,000 with a land value of $128,100. Equatable market value is $8,062,016. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $3,500,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $2,257,500. And this is in litigation also.
It is.
How many years?
Just 1 year so far.
Okay. And then I'll go ahead and read in 138 Jamesville Avenue. Some general city information. This is a 140-unit apartment complex, including the property located at 126 that we just read in. Current tentative assessed value of $1,080,000 with a land value of $32,000. Equatable market value would be $1,674,419. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $500,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $322,500. And this is in 1 year of litigation as well. And what can you tell us about that?
Sure. So these two properties were, well, we've included the income and expense analysis for these two properties. There's actually another property that's a single-family house that was how it kind of operates. It's included in the income expense statement, so in our analysis, we backed out the full value of that. But that indicates that the property is overassessed. I know there was a sale, this property was part of a sale of a portfolio sale, including several other properties down in Dago County in December of 2020. It was, that sale basically, if you back out the third parcel, that sale was about $8.8 million for these two parcels. And the current assessment equates to about $9.7 million. That itself says that, assuming that the sale is representative of the value, it's overassessed. But if you look at the timing, this was a December 2020 sale with a July 2020 purchase contract, which was before the world changed. And we have maybe a 90% actual vacancy, but you have 43% delinquency in this property. And because of the full term on evictions and so forth, this is property that would not have sold for that. It had the full impact of COVID by now. The actual income reflects, that it's not performing at what they expected when they purchased the property. The sale was also a 1031 exchange, which affects things as well. But I think if you just look at the income expense, you look at it's probably the two parcels combined. We're looking at a full value is in the range of $4.5 million or something based upon the income alone. So that's really, and we've allocated it between the two parcels kind of in the same proportion as the current assessment. So that's the basis of our complaint. We have attached complete income and expense information. Take a look at. These apartments they're just up Calvin. If you go up to Calvin, like you're going to Manly Field House, they're just off to the left as you're going up the hill.
Okay.
Right next to Oakwood Cemetery.
Yep. I'm familiar with that. Okay. Matt, anything you want to add? I know they're both in litigation.
Not terribly much on account of that. Although that is interesting. Look forward to reviewing those P&Ls. Again, we're as good as our data. Sales have been through the roof. We've got mostly post-COVID sales that bracket the value, but obviously P&Ls might tell a different story that we are receptive to.
Okay.
Yeah, we've attached the delinquency report and the vacancy report to the grievances one.
That's helpful, Kevin. Thanks. We'll have a look.
Okay, that sounds good there. You just note down there and ask Matt for the question mark. That'll just remind us about the yeah, they put maybe P&L in there. Great, thank you. Okay, last property here.
And we are at the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, 101 South Salina Street and East Water Street. Again, some general information as far as the city is concerned, property information. And just getting to the petition. This is the former M&T Bank building and parking lot. Current tentative assessed value, $7,200,000 with a land value of $1,220,000. Let's see here. 101 South Salina Street and East Water Street. That would be an equatable market value of $11,162,700. $791. Okay, so there's no estimate of fair market value, because this is a partial exemption issue. Let me just read those in though, because I do have it on here. No, I do not have it on here. Okay. So is this in litigation first?
This is in litigation,
Okay.
and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it this year. Even if you wanted to, because this depends on the correctness of the 2022 assessment, which you can't change. So this is just a matter of preserving our rights as we go forward in litigation. The partial exemption this year, or the partial exemption last year and this year, we thought that the assessment should have been lower last year, so that we don't challenge the current assessment, but that delta between last year and this year should have been greater. That's all I'm saying. So you can't change that now.
Okay, and I'm just curious, what's the premise for the partial exemption?
This is a 485A exemption, so it's a conversion of this property to a residential or mixed-use property. There's a partial certificate of occupancy right now. We have a partial exemption as the property gets completed. Presumably that assessment will increase.
What's the overall plan?
Apartments upstairs, and commercial space downstairs.
How many floors?
9?
I think there are, you worked up there for 10 floors in the, oh yeah, you worked there too.
Yeah, I didn't go on that. Did you do a walkthrough or something?
Oh, we spent a lot of 2021 in that building, yeah.
Yeah. How many apartments?
121.
121?
Of which maybe 20 are available right now.
Floors
Not
8 and 9 are done.
okay.
There's a CO for, I think, for floors 8 and 9.
That's great.
They're doing a good job. We are wholly supportive of this, but for our disagreement on the base assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8, 9, and 10. 8, 9, and 10 are
8, 9, and 10 are done.
COs, yeah. And they have signs out to rent them out, so.
Very cool. What are they gonna do downstairs?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
Event space in the former lobby and traditional retail in the Vanderbilt arcade, I think, where the print shop and the Nick's place were.
It's in the ceiling?
I think they're going to take very good care of it. They've got a good background with this kind of work.
Yeah, no, good piece. Is this 1 year of litigation?
Yes.
Yeah. This just for my own edification. Okay, that sounds good. Then we'll take everything that you said, but again, knowing that the purpose of the presentation is to preserve the right.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Nice to see you.
Thanks, Kevin. Likewise.
I think I should probably maybe trade you.
Of course.
Okay, I haven't been doing that.
That's fine. Take those, these are the, 3 there, and then once those are done, we just have, not hearing from earlier to read it.
Oh, the Knob Hill.
Yep.
Beer for a while. Okay, ready for you. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, same to you. Good morning, good morning. If you want to push those back, we certainly can do that as well if you need more room. I think actually this should be up here anyway. All right, so we've got 3 properties here. I'm going to swear you both in. But is there any particular order that you want to have these 3 in?
Yeah, we're doing the Hilltop one first. 22 James Street.
Okay, 3522 James Street, we're going to do first. So that'll be number 18 for our purposes.
18?
And then, I think 18. South Salina was 18.
18.
Okay,
So it's 18.
great, great. 19. Made a mess of that sheet. And then of the other two, any particular order?
Let me see here, it's,
319 Erie Boulevard East
we'll
and,
do, 319 first.
okay. So that'll be 20.
I'm sorry, no, 319 last, I'm sorry.
Okay, 3019 last. So 20 will be Harold Place. 21 will be 3019 Erie Boulevard East. Okay. So let me just put them in the right order. All right, let me go ahead and swear you both in. If you could raise your right hands. State your name for the record.
Michael R. Franklin.
Francis J. Kunimpa.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, or affirm, or?
I do.
Okay, very good. All right, so we've got 3522 James Street. We'll read that in first. The city has some general.
Chuck? I said, howdy, Chuck.
Sid-
You're looking right at me, so I said, hi, Chuck.
Oh, city has some general property information.
Not too bad.
And let me go ahead and read that in. So this is a office building under special permit, commercial building. Current tentative assessed value of $500,000 with a land value of $100,000. That would equate to a market value of $775,194. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $370,740, which would be an assessed value of $239,127. Let me just thumb through real quick here. So there was a purchase in 2016 for $280,000, and that was a cash deal?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was in fact arm's length, even though they have it marked as not arm's length. And he can explain that to you if you wish.
Okay. Yeah, that would be, let me just
Yeah, go through the
finish
application,
going
yeah.
through the application. And we've got some information regarding the purchase and some other renovated information. And then we've got a bunch of pictures. Okay. All right. So why don't you tell us, so you're the owner of the property?
Unfortunately, I am the owner.
Unfortunately. Okay.
The seller is probably, you all know, his name is Sheldon Call. He's a lawyer, grew up in Syracuse, still alive, 80 plus years old, on marathons and whatnot. It was his office and he rented out rest of the spaces for others. There was an old, it was a mansion lot, as some of you are familiar with. James Street used to have a lot of mansions, and so that building was behind the office building that was still existing, 4,400 square feet or so when I purchased it. Sheldon was using that building, part of that building, as a file storage in the back. The property overall was kind of run down in the parking lot. Neighbors hated it because a lot of kids hang out. There were a lot of nuisance with the fire and everything else. So he got a lot of offers, but everything was contingent upon a lot of things which he wasn't accepting. So I came to know, I made him a cash offer, non-contingent. He accepted it. I'm an immigrant from India, came to New Jersey. I have no connection or relationship with this man at all. My office is on Ridings Road in town of Duvet. It's a 4,500 square feet office building. I used to employ about 15 to 20 telemarketers. As the economy become harder, they find other jobs, and the people I could find needed public transportation. So that's how I wind up buying this property. I thought I would find people easily to come to do the job. This is in 2016, in office. Since 2018, I've been trying to sell my property on Ridings Road and do it. First, I listed it with no price asking, make offers. Even today, the property is not sold. It is an A-class building, built real nice in 2005, completely rebuilt, new roof, everything new, bathrooms. Even today, I don't have a single offer on the office building. It's unrelated, but I'm just coming to the story.
No, that's fine, and so that was, are you still operating out of that building?
No, I just moved in the month of December. I moved to James Street building.
Okay.
So when I purchased the office building, I had 5 tenants. By the beginning of COVID, I lost everyone except one small tenant paying $350. And he occupied probably around 650 square feet space.
What's the total square footage?
18,000 square feet. And the building is over 75% vacant even now. I bought the property, I tore down the building in the back. I had to go through a lot of the trouble. One of the unfortunate thing was I have no experience with anything like this, so I never went to the city to negotiate any deals. Yeah, I will tear down the building in the back, such a nuisance to the fire department. The house right behind the property was sold for $50,000 because nobody would buy anything there because of this whole mess. And then I had to go through special permitting, which took almost over a year to get the permit from the city to do anything. It's a special permit process. And initially, they would not allow me to tear down the house or any of that stuff. And I had to appeal to all my neighbors. I collected their signatures and appealed to the Common Council and to the councilman for the area. He was very sympathetic, and finally, over a year, I got the approval.
To tear it down?
Tear it down, and I did everything right. As an immigrant, not knowing any of this political process or any of the games in the town, I honestly put my heart and soul into it and worked at the property most every day with my own hand. They wanted me to plant plants around the property. I did that. I personally did that. They all grew to almost 10, 12 feet. It looks beautiful. And there were a couple of problems. There were 2 entrances in the back, and one with stairs going up and down, and it was pretty narrow. So I tore that down and put a new entrance and made a bridge, walk bridge, so that people can walk without stairs right from the second tier of the parking lot. That was my biggest expense. Then in 2019 or 20 early, I got 2019. I think I got an interest from a psychiatric group. They said the bathrooms has to be handicapped. So I decided to renovate 4 of the 6 bathrooms into handicap bathrooms. They were beautiful bathrooms, full tiles, really nice, but they were in handicap, so I converted them. I installed an elevator. It's not functional, not elevator, elevate, that goes just 2 floors. I owe him $20,000. It's unfinished. It's not operational. The rooms that after I showed many of the people who had interest, they didn't like the layout of the spaces. I told them that I will make the necessary changes once you sign the lease. The long story short, I gained 1 tenant, new tenant, besides myself. That's as of right now. I have probably 1 other person came through to see the property. I advertise everywhere. I talk to all the brokers. Anybody can bring tenants. I pay them commission just like everybody else. I just don't have interest. And the parking lot, I repaired the parking lot. I didn't expand the building at all, anywhere. The same square footage, overall usable building is reduced because the building, when it was built in 1958, I think, the hallways were very narrow, and people just didn't like that. So I made the hallways wider, bathrooms renovated, and put new tiles and carpet in that spaces. And then my business is one of the tenant. It's a separate entity altogether. They built their own space. I host computer programs and medical records. So I needed a computer room with a cooler. So we installed chillers for that, separate AC units for that, just to cool the computer room. So that's where I am with this thing. And I think, even though I bought it at $280,000, they didn't reduce the assessment right away. So I think the second year that came to my attention, I was hoping that, hey, this will automatically happen. So second year I came to know that there was no reduction in assessment. My secretary at that time filed for reduction, and I think I met Joe. And so Joe gave me a number, and then I looked at it and said that, well, that might equal to just about when I finish the building, that would be the number. And that's a number I've been paying taxes on for the last 5 years, even though I bought the property for $280,000. And so what happened was, COVID made it even worse. I lost the tenants. I can't hire construction workers to do any work because it won't get me any money. They can work on a house and flip it for $50,000, $100,000 profit. And the houses are even today getting sold within 2 to 3 days, as you all know. But office properties are everywhere. If you just run on Jane Street, vacancies everywhere and plenty of spaces available. So I am in a limbo. How do I pay $120 an hour or that kind of estimate to rebuild the office space when nobody wants it? When was the last time we went to a travel agent, an insurance agent? These were the offices. We have small 500 square feet, 800 square feet offices. And if somebody comes and say that, hey, we will sign a 10-year lease and they have a A or B credit rating to make the lease, I can renovate it, but I just don't have those type of tenants. That's the scope.
Right. And so currently the situation is you're in there with one other tenant?
Two other tenants.
Two other tenants.
Right.
So give me a total square footage is?
I would say the total square footage rented out would be probably about 3,000.
Currently rented?
Yeah, with all
total building is?
16,000.
16,000 and roughly 3,000. So even if we went, so you're at about 17% occupancy at this point?
Correct, yeah, less than 25%.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of the building, if I could, is in what kind of condition?
Show the pictures?
Yeah.
I have a bunch of pictures, so that's okay if that's the case.
Yeah, I cleaned up mostly outside, really nice, very appealing. The parking lots all, resurfed and marked. And
I got it.
The interior, some areas by the time we expanded the hallway, it kind of destroyed part of one side. We moved the hallway wall.
When was Joe in here? Did he do a physical inspection?
Early January, I think.
Of this year?
Of this year.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, Ed was in the building.
Okay.
Joe was.
I'm sorry. I knew that was Joe's area. No, yeah.
I'd like to interject here a little bit.
Yeah.
So the occupancy is whatever percentage you want to say, but the rest of the building, he's left, unfinished, waiting for a tenant so he can customize it to their needs.
Understood.
So when he gets the tenant, then he'll build it out. When he gets the tenants, then he'll finish the common areas, he'll finish the elevator, so on and so forth. So he spent some money on the building. The income valuation is negative. He's provided the income and expense data to demonstrate that. He purchased it for $280, and he's put some work into it. So.
Right. And so you did the walkthrough?
I did the walkthrough.
Okay, so let me just, before I go to you, I think we have a pretty good picture of the building. Anything you want to add briefly? I'll come back to you, but.
No, I think I did everything right. I mean, you know, I just can't afford. I lose about $50,000 a year running managing the building. And if I could get tenants, everybody would be happy. I have no problem paying the taxes that city wants.
Yep.
And if I could sell it for $1 million or $800,000, that is also a great story, but it isn't there.
All right, so let me just, let me go to the city and let him give the information, and then we'll go from there. So you took a walkthrough.
I actually walked through it with former Commissioner Clifford, right after Frank purchased the property. The building was extremely tired. Lower Class C, dirty, needed tons of work. The attorneys attempted to sell this property for a couple of years. Got, obviously, I don't want to mess it. Is it okay if I call you Frank?
Frank, yeah, that's fine, Ed.
Frank made his offer. We met with him. We walked through the building. We told him at that point in time, we'll work with you. We'll give you an opportunity to fix the building up. He's very enthusiastic and excited about what he had bought. We disagree because of the condition of the building. We don't think it's an arm's length transaction. I mean, it's you know, I mean, most buildings of that size and what have you sells for several $100,000 more than what Frank paid for it. But within the idea that Frank had bought the property, had plans to fix it up, there was, I can't speak anything about codes or anything else, there was a mansion that sits directly behind the property. That should have been taken down probably 10 to 15 years prior to Frank purchasing the property. The attorneys never did that. They just let it sit there. According to Frank, he lost $6,000 a month rent because he had to tear the property down and he was renting it out for property storage record files. He did tear down the mansion eventually.
Frank did.
Frank did, yes. And he's done work around the outside of the building. It was, you know, he put new windows in. He put up a pole barn. He did put a bridge. The building has better accessibility from the parking lot because of the bridge Frank put in. He repaved the parking lot. The inside of the building, I've shared pictures with you. It's not what we expected to see after 6 years. We had an unfinished assessment and explained to Frank that when you finish it, we're going to review it. We're going to reflect what the market should bear for a Class C building in average condition should be worth. He was fine with that. He did not, we asked him to keep in touch with us, let us know how the progress was going. He didn't do that. This year, the person who's out on medical leave, it's his area, the assessment got, I actually pointed out the fact that it had an unfinished on it and that that the owner had moved into the building. When a building has occupants in it, the unfinished assessment came off of it. That being said, I was sent out after Frank had received his notice of an assessment increase. I walked through the building. I'm a state certified appraiser. I handle everything the same way. Every single property I look at, I take pictures of it. I measure it if necessary. I gave you a package of pictures that show its current condition. Frank was upset with me because I was taking pictures of things he considered personal property. Mike's going to point out that I took pictures of Frank's computers. I was merely taking pictures of the rooms and their condition. The area that Frank occupies has been nicely done. I tried to compliment him on it. I went into a meeting room where there was a conference table. I'd been in the building before Frank bought it. I knew the attorneys that owned the building. He made a point of pointing out that, in fact, the conference table was personal property. I guess he didn't think I knew what personal property is. I've been doing this for 40 years.
I'm sorry, I probably misunderstood when you took the pictures. All right, okay.
You know, he became increasingly upset as I walked through the building. You know.
All right, so he's acknowledged that.
Okay, let's move on from there.
Yeah.
You know, the building's, you know, it's not complete. Again, you know, I was not the one in charge of this area. I merely went out there to be the eyes for the city of Syracuse, to walk through the property. You know, pretty sure I know what I'm doing after 40 years, but I could be wrong.
All right, so it was unfinished.
Yes.
That's the dilemma, you know,
Correct.
we've got.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was very enthusiastic when I bought the property. There were some tenants, some revenue coming in. I was under the belief that I could turn this around, then COVID hit.
Yep.
And the expenses went, I couldn't hire anybody. I can't hire a A-class contractor and dump millions of dollars and pay city taxes and make any money out of it. So I wind up doing a lot of the work myself. I couldn't get anybody. I do quite a bit of plumbing, electrical, flooring. A lot of the work I did myself with other filters. So COVID turned the whole thing upside down. And there were a lot of residential property, and in some people who know me at the time advised me, why don't you buy some of these houses? They were going for $50,000 or $70,000, just a stone throw away from my property in 2017 and 18. I didn't buy them, I bought this. But, you know, the whole thing changed, and it's just, you know, I don't know what to say.
Okay. Let me just say one thing. So the last question I have is, and this is just a question, but have you thought about it's just not working and I'm going to sell this thing?
The challenge I have is that one reason I decided to move, I told you about from the previous building, was employees. The second thing was when I started my business in 1999 in Syracuse. My computer room was nothing bigger than a small coat closet. And when I built that building in DeWitt, my computer room was probably 10 by 25 or something. What grew from then was my computer room. And instead of rebuilding and demolishing everything that I already built in that other building, I thought I will build a super nice computer room in this new building, and this is going to be my place.
Okay.
That is one of the challenge. Whoever buy the building, I want to have that lease in place for my operation so that I don't have to go and rebuild the whole thing. Yeah.
Did you sell the Ridings Road?
No, it is still in the market.
Still on the market.
I'd like to basically summarize it. Frank has indicated when he gets a tenant, when he builds it out, when he has the income, he has no problem with being assessed accordingly. But until then, he did pay $280 for it. He's alleging that it wasn't arm's length, but it was in fact arm's length.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't get any more arm's length than that.
Sheldon Cole is still alive and well. If I ask him or whatever you want from him, there's a closing attorney involved. He will give you a statement, you know, to that effect. I mean,
so income expense status have been provided. He's provided you with the cost of the things that he put into it. You know, cost doesn't necessarily equal value, you know. So when it gets income and it's finished, that'll be another thing. But for now, he's making progress and, and adding a little bit for some of the work that he's done. But the true, usually when you have an office space, income valuation is the pros because it's hard to really, compare it, but you can compare the income. And that's what assessors usually use, if of course it meets their agenda. If it doesn't, then they don't want to use it. Well, the income on this thing is definitely negative.
Right.
You know what he paid for it, he's added some to it, so it should probably be somewhere, if it were fully thing, it would be here, and this should be somewhere there,
Okay.
And, so he's willing, when he gets the thing finished, when he has tenants, he's got no problem with that because he'll have the income to be able to pay it.
All right.
But also, when he bought it was 2016, and we all know that with COVID, everybody got used to using Zoom. So people don't have to work from home as much. There isn't as much demand necessarily for a space like this, and that's part of the problem that he's experiencing. He is actively trying to get tenants.
All right, so let's do this. You got enough information, I think. We got
Joe.
some good information from the assessor.
Yeah.
And Matt, you want to add?
Frank is sympathetic. Frank seems like a good property owner and a good neighbor. New York State, thank you. New York State and municipalities, I think, per the law, should at least try their darndest with the exemptions that we offer to incentivize people being good neighbors and conscientious property owners. 45B, is always on the table. 134,000 into the property is no small thing, even if there's not necessarily a commensurate increase in value to go with that investment. But that certainly is on the table.
Okay, so the assessor's saying
Sorry,
that. That's all right. So the assessor's saying that is an option.
Right, but doesn't it say it has to be within the last 12 months?
Oh, I'll defer to the wisdom of the board on that.
Yeah, so let's further discuss that. Make a note of that. 485B?
B.
485B. And we have the $134,000 figure, is that what you said you put into the property?
Yeah, after depreciation and everything else, yeah, that number on the form.
Okay, all right. Okay, so, yes, and so I'm gonna check the legalities and all that good stuff, and
Just so Frank understands, when you finish the building, the 485B is a 10-year exemption. So if the building were, whatever the board does is their decision. But when the building is complete, the assessment is gonna be looked at again. Okay? And whatever it would be, it'd be 50% off of whatever the building was increased the first year, and for the next 9 years, your assessment goes up 5% each year. So the beginning of the 11th year, you're paying on the whole assessed value of the property.
we're trying to find a solution
Appreciate
to your issue
Yeah, thank you.
within the rules
Within the parameters that
of
you
this,
guys work
the
with.
state allows. So we need to, it sounds like we can find some sort of solution.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate the time.
Yeah, so we'll, Mr. Fole will probably be in touch with you. Does that sound about right?
It's not my area, so I only went as the eyes of the
Well,
city. is
yeah,
there.
but isn't Joe gonna be out for an
He's
extended
gonna be
period
out
of
for an
time?
extended period. I don't think that Frank's gonna have the building.
No, but we've gotta, if we're going to do this, we have to get this exemption in place, is what I'm getting at.
You can have more than one 485B exemption on a building, as long as there's steady progress
Yeah.
being made on the property.
Yeah, that's that's kind of the rub.
Oh.
That, you gotta keep on moving forward in what you're doing with the building, and I appreciate where you're coming from with respect to wanting to build to suit.
Yeah.
But, you gotta kind of keep the wheels turning,
Yeah, I mean,
as far as the common areas and, that kind of thing.
okay.
All right, let's hold it
I
there.
really
then.
appreciate everybody's time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank
So, we'll,
Sorry again.
so we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome.
All right. So that'll be, did you have nothing you needed to submit? Okay. All right.
You've already got it. You've got everything.
Right. So, Mr. Franklin, you wanted to do 221-23 Harold Place. I know we're over, Michelle, but there's nobody else here, so,
That's why I turned off the clock.
okay, great, thank you. So let me just read this in, and we'll see what we can do. It's 221-223 Harold Place. This is a commercial building. Okay, so we have a current tentative assessment of $565,000. 565,000 with a land value of 27,000, and that would equate to a market value of 875,969. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $317,830, and that would be an equatable assessed value of $205,000 assessed value. Okay, so what's the situation on this one here?
Okay, well, before I get started with that, I'd like to just take care of some previous, business. Obviously, this past hearing was much better than the last time. It got a little contentious last time, and I just want you to know that basically my nature is quite literal, and so I just respond literally to things. And that's what it is that I did. I didn't mean anything personal to anybody.
Sure.
But there were also some things that were said about me in that hearing that were pretty unprofessional. I was told that I don't know what I'm doing, which is a professional slander. It's pretty inappropriate. And I know things got heated and people can say things that they perhaps don't mean, or maybe they actually did mean, but, I saw your videos, and the system is really good, and I really think that's fantastic. It's a major improvement over what we saw in the past. It helps everybody be accountable as to what's going on. But I am continuing to record this hearing, and the reason I'm doing that, well, my recording won't be anywhere near as good as what it is that you generated.
And I thought about that. You know what? I don't really care.
Well, the thing is,
It's illegal to record
Without somebody
without
knowing.
everybody knowing.
Right. So
that's not
he's-
true. It's not true.
Well, it doesn't,
New York is a single-party state. Part of the reason
All right,
I'm doing
but-
it is to educate people.
but-
It's a single-party state, number one.
yeah, but
And-
you
and-
did
and-
let
and-
us know, all
No,
right?
I don't need to let you know.
But the point is,
And we don't want to get contentious again.
Yeah.
But you had a lot of people coming in here, old people, who are being recorded by this stuff, and they don't know the ramifications of that, and you didn't disclose that to them. And you're worried about me disclosing it to you? It's a double standard, don't you think? So I think everybody that comes in here, especially the old people, you need to disclose what's going on here, because it's.
well, that
It is a
and we'll
public space.
check, and if that's
It is a
something
public
that.
space. They have no expectation of privacy.
Yep.
But neither do you. This is a public space. So I called the New York State Committee on Open Government on this, and I spoke to an attorney there, and they said, absolutely, I have the right to record this hearing. And it's Kristen Smith, if you want to talk to her about it. Absolutely. So
We won't debate it.
It's an
and
open meeting law.
Again, because this is recorded anyways.
It's also,
have at it.
it's also,
I don't
it's
care.
also a First Amendment right for me to do so. I have the right to record public officials in the course of their duties in public spaces. This is a public space. He made a comment, and he made a comment that I can't record people. New York is a one-party state. Ask Bernie Fine about that. He knows all about it. It's a one-party state.
Just
He
try
went
not
to
to-
school in Illinois. That's a two-party state. And in Illinois, parts of that were stricken down. This is a one-party state. I have the absolute right to record this hearing, or as long as I know it's being recorded. So I do it for educational purposes. I'm not doing it to be confrontational. And in fact, since you told me not to do it, I'll turn it off right now, because it's not as good as what it is that you're doing.
Yeah,
But I have the right to do it.
No problem.
Okay?
Fair enough.
All right, sorry to beat that to death, but it's important, I'm standing, I do this to protect homeowners from bureaucratic abuse. That's why I'm here. I was accused of doing all these things for financial reasons. I don't do them for financial reasons. I do it as a public service to protect the public. When they're being ignored, they're not being provided data that should be provided. And I would ask the bar to, we're having a legal debate whether or not the assessor has to give me this data. We'll get to the bottom of that. But I would think, legal or not, it would be just good customer service. Don't you think? Just good customer service. So anyway, let's get onto this property. And again, I don't mean to be
No problem.
Ed, no hard feelings. Okay, you just got me riled up a little bit.
No problem.
All right.
All right,
So this particular property. So apparently you had your thing limit was up for 10 years, correct? And so all of a sudden they just jumped this thing from what 297 to 875.
To save
exemption or
I think it still had, no, it's still under the 485A, but no, to save you some time possibly. No, this was a handshake freeze with an unfinished, again, the unfinished rearing its head, that was to come off when the first floor tenant space was occupied, which,
Yeah.
if we want me to be candid, is
issue.
odd, but that was the agreement.
It might be an
so-
issue that you take into consideration. That I'm just assuming, with such a large increase, there had to be a reason for it. Basically, we provided you with the income and expense data, and what does the assessor use for a cap rate on income valuation?
Oh, we don't share our cap rates, customer service or not.
You won't share your cap rates? Okay. Well, I don't know. Other cities like Ithaca, for example, uses 10%. So if you don't-
Ours is a large city where I think cap rates could really run the gamut over 25 square miles.
Well, in this particular classification. Anyway, income, I would say on this property, it would be hard to compare it to other properties. Because how many properties have 4 rental units and a tattoo shop in the bottom, So
that's what we have here?
Yes.
Okay, so there's
Yeah, so it's right down from the
commercial space.
Dinosaur. When you go to the Dinosaur
Yes.
and you go down Franklin, it's right at Harold and Franklin, right past the Dinosaur.
Yes.
So none of the tenants have any parking rights. They have to pay that separately. So
Okay.
there's no parking for the building. He provided your income and expense data.
Which I have.
And if there's something you need to verify, we'd be happy to do whatever it is you need to verify that. He renovated the place, but frankly, it's a lot of sheetrock and just kind of regular plastic windows. The kitchens are pretty low grade Home Depot. I provided you some pictures of that. Unfortunately, my camera screwed up. But it's really pretty basic stuff.
There's a lot of information in here, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it just seems that figure is extreme. I would be interested to know, where they, how such a large, we're talking about $575,000 increase. It's significant.
All right, so if I could go, what happened?
This one, I'll take ownership of this. This one's mine. I sought to increase this 3 years ago and was told there was a handshake deal with the property owner. It would carry an unfinished assessment and a low assessment until he filled the commercial space. How they came to that understanding, I don't know. There was no stipulation in writing. Nevertheless, I abided by it, and I was heartened to see a tenant this year, commercial tenant, so did raise it using a sales comparison approach and an income cap based on market rents. And what's been provided in the grievance fall below any market rents that we'd have used for residential 2-bedroom apartments. $1,500 for the storefront seems straightforward. We did, in the course of our research, find a listing. In the interest of fact finding, we've got a big discrepancy here between the stated NOI in the grievance, which is $46,452, and the NOI stated in the publicly available listing, which is $63,260, almost exactly 17 grand higher, which that 63 number.
I see where you've noted that.
Yeah, that 63 number would support a full market significantly above what we put on it, but ours is bracketed by sales. These sorts of small, often benefiting from a 485A properties downtown do carry mid 100 unit values when they sell. Those, admittedly, assuming these really are the contract rents, those are often buttressed by higher rents than we're seeing here in the apartments. So that comes as a surprise to me. Anybody who's in the market for a 2-bedroom who could find this would feel like he or she hit the lottery, I think.
Okay.
Can you repeat that?
Oh, these are very low 2-bedroom rents. This would be a windfall for anybody.
Part of
who
it
would-
is that it's 2-bedroom, but to get to the bedrooms, you have to walk up these stairs. And I know
Yeah, they're townhouse style, right?
I know I wouldn't. It's a
Each one is a duplex within the building?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Oh,
second.
okay, so it's a first and second floor.
Second,
No
third,
bedrooms
but
on-
yeah.
There's no bedrooms on the main level, and it's also
Right.
the ceilings are pretty high. The stairs are insane.
Kind of a modified loft style, I guess you'd call
You'd
it.
want to have somebody pretty young to be in there, but young people do like to be downtown. And you can walk to the dinosaur, but again, there's no parking. And as far as a real estate listing, this is exactly why I want to get the assessor's data, not the realtor's data, because they lie like a rug. I mean, I looked at the same listing. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
I'll
I don't
take it
know-
with some
but-
grains of salt
but-
myself.
But being a real estate broker, Joe, you know the way some of these people are. Well, especially when you have an income property and you have income coming in, you don't care if it's selling or not. So you put a ridiculous price on it, thinking somebody from New Jersey, some idiot's New Jersey or California is gonna buy it, which could possibly happen. It does happen. That one there down in Salina Street is crazy. That building down there, they paid for that thing. That does happen, and so that's why they do
does.
it. But it doesn't have anything to do with reality.
So we
I
take
don't
it
think
into
it's relevant.
consideration,
But the bottom line is, it's an income. I don't think the comparables, I mean, there's just too many variables to come up with to really come up with a comparable for it. But again, the construction grade, and if anybody wants to get in it, they're welcome to get in it, but it's just basic sheetrock. It's a historic shell, but the interior is just basic sheetrock and basic kitchen, basic baths. It's extremely, this is not a luxury accommodations. They're good, they're nice, but it's not, it's not ornate historic stuff.
laminate countertops.
And don't get me wrong, this is a price point and a type of housing that we need all over the community, but certainly downtown. So we are not looking to interpret this harshly and hammer this gentleman.
Yeah, I think that
for renting below market.
You probably had a reasonable deal for a while, but going $875 is a little over the top, I think. It's quite a bit over the top, actually. So we can go ahead. I think that's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
Let me just take one more if there's anything else.
Yep,
But,
anything you want to add there, sure.
okay, so you got the income expense data, the parking issue. But according to the guy that does the maintenance, when they do lose a tenant, they don't get them snapped right up right away. He says it can take a couple of months.
Sure, to find good people, absolutely. You don't want to just put anybody in there.
Yeah. So.
All right, so let's move on to 3019 Erie Boulevard East Rear. The city submitted some general property information. So this, okay, this is the former, this is number 21 on our list. This is the former Tilted Kilt restaurant. We have a current tentative assessment of $1,290,600 with a land value of $138,500. That would equate to a market value of $2,930. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $1,200,000, and that would equate to an assessed value of $774,000. Okay. Okay, is this still vacant?
It is.
It's still vacant. I remember from last year, we had a discussion, it was changing hands from the fathers to the sons or something. All right, so that took place. They weren't sure how they were gonna use the building. And so they're obviously still trying to lease it.
Yeah.
And what are they trying to lease it as, or just a little background in between last year and this year?
I think they're obviously gonna try to have it be a restaurant, because as we established last year, it's a restaurant.
Yeah.
You just gotta find somebody who's running, if you notice, the Red Lobster just went out of business right out front.
Okay. No, I did not notice that.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, and then I think Stones went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a tough business.
And in this class, correct me if I'm wrong, there's only been 3 sales in the past 2 years. And 2 of them were bought by Vaughn Lang, who's the president of the Board of Realtors. Okay, the third one is the Corral, but that's it.
He's the legal counsel of the Board of Realtors.
He is the legal
Lenore
counsel.
Fetco is the president.
I thought I said he was a lawyer. But anyway, so basically you have 1 sale, and that's the Golden Corral. And my guess is that the value in the Golden Corral was a lot of it had to do with the business, not so much the the building itself. But I was rather upset about what transpired last year, frankly. I had an appraisal by a New York State certified New York State commercial real estate appraiser, who's actually been to the property. And nobody here, I don't think, has been to the property in 5 or 6 years. And
I was there when it was up and running. I can tell you that.
And we're welcome to have anybody come in the building that they want.
All right.
But I want to say a professional appraisal report is in and of itself sufficient to overcome any presumption regarding the validity of the assessment. Eckerd Corp versus Seaman. I just don't know why you guys would ignore. Are you suggesting that the assessment was fraudulent? If you think the appraisal is fraudulent, you should file a complaint with the New York State Department of State Licensing Services.
Are you okay. No, you have reason to feel slighted last year. Circumstances with our office situation led to our receiving an appraisal and nobody laying eyes on it, which is not an acceptable circumstance, and nobody's going to.
With the office space. But anyway, do we have that? Do we have, or can we get that appraisal?
It's part of the email.
I've read it.
And part of what transpired last year is perhaps why I came in a little hot yesterday, because I talked to your legal department, everybody gave me the runaround and they sandbagged me, and I was pretty angry. And unfortunately, my client wasn't prepared to go to Supreme Court on this. It would have been a slam dunk. And it's just.
Well, we want to try to.
It's bad customer service, and he acknowledged there was a problem, and I accept that. But it's part of the issue that I've had here is customer service issue, and so, I don't get into what my credentials are, because it's not relevant. It's the facts are what's relevant. But I do want to respond to something that was said about me. I have participated in assessment matters in 20 counties so far, dozens of assessors. Most of you have only had to do with 2 assessors. You only know 2 assessors. I know dozens of them, and I know what a good assessor is and what a bad assessor is. And as he mentioned, I was a SCAR hearing officer for 4 years in 6 counties. So just when you think you've seen it all, you ain't seen nothing when it comes to money. People are funny, but I've seen a wide variety of assessors and how they operate, and the disdain that they have for the public, the complete lack of, they think they can do whatever, they don't want to be accountable or transparent. And some of these boards of assessment reviews, in fact, 90% of them, they check a box as insufficient information, and they provide no written explanation as to a complete lack of transparency. So, but after all that experience, I'll tell you what a good assessor is. When you have 41,000 properties, you have to do mass assessment techniques. There's no other way to do it. But when a taxpayer calls a situation to your attention, it's your job to look into it in good faith. And if you agree with them, make an adjustment. If you disagree, you politely point them to their appeal options. It doesn't need to get contentious, but it seems to get contentious all the time. So that's why I was upset coming in from last year, because to me, it was an absolute outrage. What was done to these people for the past, they've been out of business since 2017. They've had zero income since 2017. And they are assessed for $2.1 million fair market value. That's $500,000 more than the dinosaur. It's 3 times that of Coleman's. I forget what it is relative to Tully's, which is a major ongoing business. How could you do that to these people? It's just an outrage. But
All right.
so you've got the picture. So you have the appraisal. And what I did is I took your numbers. So it's last year's appraisal. We didn't update it, but nothing has changed. It doesn't need to be updated. So what I did is I applied what the appraisal said last year, what your increase was, to make it come out to this year. And that's what I'm asking for. And I frankly don't think it should be a penny off of what it is that I asked for, because it's a licensed certified appraiser. He went to the property, he analyzed it, he did it in good faith. I've never met the guy in my life. I called everywhere to get somebody to do an appraisal. He was the only one I could get to do it in time, and he did it, and it was completely arm's length. And I wouldn't, I wanted to hire a name brand appraiser, so you guys, whatever the figure comes out, so that you would respect it. And I did the best I could to get you a proper appraisal. I had absolutely no influence over that appraisal, none.
Okay.
So, and I never
and you
will.
have a copy of that.
We do. I was gratified to read it, and I recognize I'm stepping in it here. But it's our concern that is stale now, not because of the time elapsed, but because we suspect there's a lease in place on the property, given that on the K-POT's website, it says coming soon, and given on the top of 3019 Erie Rear, there's a big sign that says
Right, but
K-POT
the
coming
valuation
soon.
date is January 1st. There was nothing in place.
There,
And when,
I don't know. That's what we'd like to know. There's been a banner on the building for, since October, I want to say.
So is there a lease in place? What's happening?
They told me they have not received $1.
Right,
And if it does open, when it is generating income, then at the end of the year, we'll know what the income is. But we don't know it now because it isn't open. And what I'm told is it probably won't be open until maybe August, if it is open.
Okay, do they
Which would still be a negative income valuation.
Right. Do they? I'm asking you, is there a lease in place?
I don't know if there is a lease in place. It's possible. I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
What they told me is it might get open in August. That's what their goal is.
And what is it?
I don't know what it is. It's some sort of restaurant.
K-POT? It's a nationwide Korean chain. I'm excited to go there when they open.
And back to the the original argument is, it's not on the boulevard. It's way the hell back. So if you try to go to this place, twice I've gone there,
it's there,
and you end up in somebody else's parking lot. And if you go past it, then you have to go all the way around the block. It is a very
that's point well taken.
yeah. So that in other words, they didn't close because of COVID. They closed before COVID, so it never made it in the first place. And then COVID kept it from coming back open. And it's.
What do you got?
Yeah, he's already mentioned a couple of sales that I have here. First one, Golden Corral. It's sold for $362 per square foot. The subject is currently assessed for $226,999. He mentioned the.
Wait, I didn't understand that. What did you just say? What's assessed for $220,000?
The assessed value per square foot. We're looking at it. It's currently assessed at an assessed value of $226.99 per square foot. Okay, that's
tilted kilt.
That is the tilted kilt that we are referring to at whatever it's going to become.
Okay.
There is the Red Lobster on Erie Boulevard, which Mike just mentioned has been closed down. That sold in 2019 for $460 a square foot. There's the Golden Corral. That sold for $362 a square foot. The distillery used to be the old Outback. Hidden away, you can't get to it unless you go through the gas station parking lot. I can throw a stone to it. That's currently assessed at $303.85 per square foot.
What year?
That happened, it just closed. It just closed 10/20 of 22. Good count. Could throw a stone to it from here.
What's the valuation date?
What's the valuation
What do
date?
you consider the valuation date?
In Syracuse? January 1st?
Right.
So your valuation date and your taxable status date are the same? That's weird. Go
Well,
ahead.
we're different.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, here's another one at 3180 Erie Boulevard's Tokyo Soul Restaurant. That sold back in 2019 for $256,000 per square foot. I mean, I'm going to just say I have not seen the appraisal. I did not know there was an appraisal on it. I valued this property. I'm the appraiser who went out and measured the building as it was being built. I'm the person that put the current assessed value on it. I used the cost approach. I have Marshall and Swift information. And again, I've been doing this an awful long time. They paid $250 just for the lot. There's a billboard on that location. I don't know whether or not it's the intention of the owner to help advertise, because if you're getting off on Thompson Road and you see whatever the name of that restaurant, that certainly could be right there. And they certainly could say, after you're right onto Erie Boulevard, turn into the third parking lot on the right, and you will be there. It is adjacent to a hotel. The hotel does not have a restaurant in it. I suspect that the hotel and the Tilted Kilt were in cahoots at one point in time, but I can't prove it.
Okay.
There's another sale of, this is again 30, that was, I already read 3019 Erie Boulevard, I think. It sold for,
Well, 3019 is the subject property.
I'm sorry, no, that's not the address of subject properties, 3019?
Yeah. Erie Boulevard East.
Okay. Well, Ruby Tuesdays sold for, and this is a lower sale price, it was 2018, it sold for $132,600. You know, I think that the assessment on the property is fair. I mean,
It's the third highest assessed restaurant in the city of Syracuse, and it hasn't been in business since 2017. Are you kidding me?
All right, well, we'll take those comps that you have.
Yep.
Ed.
Mr. Full
How many
tends
of those,
to
how many of those were vacant at the time?
relay information other than that which is exculpatory. He looks for things that
Vacant,
that
vacant.
meet his agenda, but he ignores things that do not.
Those
Well, that's
restaurants
why-
were vacant at the time?
That's why we'll take.
That's why you take a look
that,
at it.
yeah.
You take a look that the comps, many of them are pre-COVID comps.
Vacant.
Take that in consideration. So essentially, he has one sale
Vacant.
since, and also take into consideration,
Vacant.
this property had been on the market for sale. If that was the case, they would have taken the money and run a long time ago, because they
The
attempted to sell.
distillery was
They had it
still in
listed-
business
They had it
when they
listed
went
with
under
Pyramid.
contract.
They had it listed with, like, two others. They had it on LoopNet and CoStar, and they had it on 10X. They did all those things, and they couldn't sell the thing. And part of it is probably because it's not on Erie Boulevard. It doesn't have the foot traffic. And he's applying all these costs per square foot. Well, why doesn't he apply that cost per square foot to the Blarney Stone, or to the Coleman's, or to the Dinosaur? You know, if you're gonna apply those square footage, apply them across the board. Your turn is passed. Apply it across the board. Don't pick your places where you choose it. They tried to sell it for 6 years and they couldn't sell it. We had an appraisal last year. As of your taxable status date, that property was not a restaurant. So if you're gonna stick to the taxable status date, stick to the taxable status date. All right. Don't say what it's gonna be down in August.
We aren't gonna go back and forth with the mudslinging.
At the end
but
of this year, we will give you the income and expense.
not relevant for this past year or last year, but you know, restaurants on the boulevard, large format restaurants, chains usually get compared to chains. Blarney, Dinosaur, these are all properties
Dinosaur
that
is a
deserve
chain.
locational.
New York City, they got 'em in Oakland, they got 'em in Rochester, Buffalo.
Locational, functional utility adjustments are made among these different properties. Whereas a Tilted Kilt and a Ruby Tuesday,
Is that the only reason that those aren't adjusted? Other than the fact that they're related to the mayor, nothing like that?
Erie Boulevard is a major thoroughfare.
I think it's safe to say that
through the
we-
city of Syracuse.
4
And
times
those
higher.
cells are all along the Erie Boulevard are in very close proximity.
All
Could you
right.
get us a copy of that lease?
A copy of the list. Can I get you a copy of the list? I can ask you for that, yeah.
That would be great if you could.
But again, I don't see it's relevant because the taxable status date is January 1st.
Well, if the lease was
It would-
signed prior to that, it would be relevant, wouldn't it?
You should worry about that lease next January 1st.
Well, it would be,
Affects the value of the
yeah,
property.
it would be
when
good
it was
faith
signed.
if they
Well, you know,
could
it just,
supply that.
you're being selective about how you approach these things. That's what they're doing. You need to be uniform about all these things. You just can't select things that meet your agenda.
No, we're not. We always,
No agenda.
we would ask anybody for a copy of that lease if there is a lease in place.
The lease is subsequent to your taxable status date.
Understood.
We'll know
It's
that
not
when we
relevant.
see it. I mean, we don't know that. That's why I'm asking for a copy of it.
Well, we
so
don't
can
even
see
know
what
that
it's
one
like.
exists.
All right, well, if you could check with the owner, see if one exists,
Well, I'll ask them if they'd like to
So-
provide it. If they do, then we'll give it to you.
that would
Okay.
be excellent. Let me do one other, are we done with this one here?
I just need to be perfectly clear.
Okay.
The taxable status date is January 1st.
So we are supposed to.
So on the previous property, on Harold Place, you wanted to use the taxable status date, or you didn't want to use the tax, but
We
now
still
you do.
We still do,
But now you do.
We are valuing that Tilted Kilt property as of January 1st.
So why do you need the lease?
Well, it would
At
just.
the end of the lease, when they've had the income, when they have the expense, then they'll know what the income and expense is.
And that's
But right
okay.
now.
And that's
our
okay.
income-
And I'm not saying our
Would you like me to get their
valuation-
tax returns for 2022? Would that help you?
Yes,
No, there you go.
would help us also.
I can tell you right now, it's severely negative, but we can get that for you.
Yes, no, that would be very good. The more information you provide, the better, and just give us a
You know, and again, I don't want to get contentious, but a licensed New York State real estate appraiser provided an appraisal to this bar.
Which we're
I just-
gonna look at.
I just read you case law, but I'm talking about last year, and I don't know. You know, I foiled the resumes of everybody on this bar, okay, and I think that you're the only one that has the adequate valuation experience to just ignore a licensed New York State commercial real estate appraiser. The entire bar ignored it. How are you qualified to do that? Chuck, how are you qualified to do that?
We didn't have it.
It was, I
understand
provided
that.
it to you.
I understand that, but it was something that fell through the cracks, correct?
Between a flood and a personnel transition, I think assessment takes ownership of the fact that we failed to get it to the board.
I mean, that's the explanation. We didn't
Okay,
have.
you have an explanation.
But we do now.
Yeah, and it'd be nice if you took that in consideration, but also take into consideration that these people have been abused since 2017.
Well, again.
You can't go back on it legally, but look what's happened to them.
Well,
They've been obliterated. Third highest assessed restaurant in the city, and they've been out of business since 2017. How can you do that to people?
Well, again, now, last year was the first time you came in, right?
Right, but
On this property here, I mean, you know, it's
Well,
up to the homeowner to, or the
they're
property
like
owner
Frank,
to-
they're not from Syracuse, and they weren't familiar with the process, or they would have done it long before. I mean, this process is nothing to you, but to other people, they're completely confused by it, and if they, especially when it's a commercial property, even if it's, say, a $40,000 property, if they can't get cooperation from the bar, they have to go to Supreme Court over a $40,000 property. You just can't treat people like. So what I ask of the assessor is that when we ask for some data, please give us the data. Don't make us go to Supreme Court to get data. That's not good customer service. Just give us the data so that you can have a productive hearing. Because if they don't give me the data, it basically demasculates this bar, because it's pointless, especially with residential, because we'll just go to SCAR and bypass the whole thing.
Yeah, but that's, I understand what you're saying, but that's just not the procedure. You've got to bring your data, they give their data.
I want to compare apples and apples, because what happens is, he gives you his count, and what he did yesterday was he read off these addresses, and that's all you hear. Well, realistically, is this bar going to go back and read all of this stuff? Of course you're not going to read it.
We look at all the comps that we receive, and that brings me to my last point. I don't think I've ever done this, but I'm going to do it with you. The last hearing, you didn't give us any information on those two properties.
I know, I did it on purpose.
Okay, I'm going to give you till Friday if you want to submit anything on those. And the reason why is because, again, the burden of proof is on you. We need your information, and we need the city's information. You don't have to provide anything, but if you don't provide anything, we can't look at your side of the
Unless they give me
story.
the data, I can't give you anything.
Well, I don't understand what them giving you the data stops you from supplying data that we can look at with respect to
I want to compare
comparables.
apples and apples and work on the same data. It makes it easier on you. Apples and apples. The realtors.
You just don't do it that way. You got it. What you supply and what they supply, we look at everything and
This
then we
is
make a
public
decision.
information. They are required by law to provide it. They can delay me if they want to, but that makes them bypass you, and I have to take it to SCAR.
No, but let me just say one last thing. When they submit comps, if you want them, we give you those addresses.
Yeah, give me what they submitted to you, and then give me till Friday, and I'll have a proper response.
I don't think I have any problem with that. So, and you may and whatever, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put this to bed this year. So I just don't, I think if we go that route, and I'll defer to John, but if we go that route, then, you know, there's no reason for foil this and foil that and blah, blah, blah.
Shouldn't have to foil it. They should just give it to me.
Well, again, though, normally it's done at the hearing. They give us the information. If the petitioner wants those addresses, I give them to them. I say, this was the addresses. that they
What I ask them to do is, if a client comes to me, and another thing that he said is that he sends postcards to neighborhoods to drum up business. That's not what I do. When I see an assessor who's not behaving properly, then I send postcards to the neighborhood. I don't do it to drum up business.
No, and
Just
we
to
don't,
correct what it is
we
that he
don't
said.
care one way or the other.
Yeah. But so, a proper assessor.
I'm going to give you the opportunity.
A proper assessor does mass assessment techniques, but when the taxpayer has a concern, whether it's the taxpayer or their legal representative has a concern, it's the job of the assessor to look into it in good faith. And
Well,
they have to have an opinion of value. It's their job is to have an opinion of value. If they agree, make an adjustment. If they disagree, politely point them to their appeal options, but give them the data that it's public information.
Yeah, again, though.
It might not be the way you do it, but I have a right to do it that way.
Yeah. Well, it's a procedural thing that we do as far as you come in, you present information, they present information, we take it all into consideration, deliberate, and then come up with a decision. So what I'm trying to say to you lastly, and then Ed, I'll give you a chance to say something if it's necessary, but you've given us no information on those two properties, And I don't want to no change those properties because those homeowners, potentially, I've got nothing, you're not giving me anything to go on. So if I don't have anything to go on, I can't make a change. And those homeowners are not gonna be too happy, all right, with this respect to, there was virtually no discussion on those two properties. It was more about foiling and,
When the assessor refuses to provide the data, it creates an appearance of impropriety.
well, again, that.
Why are they not providing the data? What are they hiding?
The
That's what
procedure-
people wonder.
The
What are they
procedure-
hiding?
Again, the procedure normally is that you present information, the assessor presents comps, and then if the petitioner wants them, I give you those addresses. So you would be provided the information at the hearing.
If they gave me the data, I don't bring cases that are frivolous. And so if they gave me the data, and they're right, I don't have to waste your time at bar. And we're done. We're
Was
done.
there an informal hearing set up?
That's what it's all
or-
about.
You know, because,
These people didn't give me the time of day from day one. And so,
Mike, I resent that.
And
You,
last year,
Mike,
you didn't give me
nope,
the time of
you're
day, and I
through.
felt guilty.
Correct. We did give you the time of day. You stole so much time from professionals in my office. It is flat out unacceptable. We pissed away so much time on the telephone with you last year, this past year, and this month. You have stolen the time of every attorney on this floor. And you're very fortunate that everybody around here has the kindly disposition and has taken it so well.
last year we had one case, this year I have 5, next year I'll have, who knows?
all right.
I mean, I will keep at it until you start treating taxpayers properly. That's what this is about.
Okay,
Treat,
that's-
just respond to people and give them the public information they're entitled to. If not, we will, our first hearing we had today, wasn't that perfectly cordial?
Yes.
That's the way they all can go if you just give me the data
We're
that I'm
still-
entitled to by law.
We're still, the thing is, though, you gotta go within our procedures, which is come in, present your information, the city will present theirs, we will give you that data.
We're gonna keep
if
fighting
you
every
want
time.
it.
I am
We're
entitled
not
to that
gonna
data.
give you, we're not gonna give you the data ahead of time.
The data is publicly available. It's available in books in the assessment office, and it's available on the city's
I
website.
want the reports. I want the cost report. I want the comparable sales report. So, and what I do is they'll have 5 comparable sales. I analyze those 5, and I don't make up my own 5. I use their 5, and I analyze them completely. And if they're correct, we're done. But if they're not correct, then that's what I show you. And I will make it very concise, so it'll be very easy for you guys. Otherwise, you have to analyze his, you have to analyze mine, and try to figure out the difference between the two. I want to talk about the same set of data. And I believe that I am entitled to by law.
All right, well,
My intention is not to waste all of your time, nor is it to waste my time. Believe me, I didn't want to spend my time doing what it is that I was doing. But
all right, so
I
let me,
insist. I
go ahead,
insist.
Ed, let me just have you say what you need to say, and then we'll wrap her up.
So, Mike offered you, you're talking about giving him an opportunity to present information after a case has been presented. He presented nothing. He actually told us he took somebody else's appraisal and dissected it and adjusted it to.
Are we talking about this case?
We're talking about a case that you were here on
Why
last
don't we talk about
Friday.
this case?
Well, right now, we will talk about this case. Let me finish. You're
Because you've been doing it for 40 years.
Why
and
don't
everything.
you stop
All
entering?
right, yeah, let Ed.
Let me talk.
Let Ed talk, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So,
Talk.
he told you he dissected somebody else's appraisal.
No,
That's
use
what he
the
wants
comps.
to
I use
do.
the- that's right.
That's what he wanted to do. He wants to do with our information. I can't speak for any other town, but as you know, I've been here for several years, not working for the city, but as a member of the board. And he's not offered you any sales of his own. He comes in and fights an assessment with zero evidence.
Yes.
Other than, it's not worth it. We can go back and forth all day long. I'm never gonna hand him my file before we sit down at this board. I refuse to
Yes,
do
no,
it.
that's our procedure, and we're not gonna go away from that.
Here and then, I would think that it's pretty inappropriate for somebody in the assessment department to tell a legal representative of a taxpayer that they don't know what they're doing. You think that's appropriate?
Well, I don't know,
Not
Department
done.
of State's watching.
Also, he says, I've forgotten more about assessment than you've ever known.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of things said on both sides that shouldn't have been said.
Your
But,
attorney referred to me as my man.
all right, that's all public record, and there's some things that shouldn't have been said on both sides, and.
I want it to be professional.
Yeah, no,
And
that's.
if you just give me the data, we can compare apples and apples, and it'll be very simple. It'll be very simple, and everybody will be happy.
All right, well, we're not, again,
If he wants to
if
give me
you
the data, I'll
decide-
get to you an answer by Friday. If I have his data, if he doesn't give me the entire data, I won't respond, and we'll just take it to SCAR. But, this board should have, the power to do what it is they're doing. If they don't give me the data, we just have to go to SCAR, and I have no problem doing that.
yeah, again, normal.
But it's not appropriate.
The normal procedure is that you present yours, they present theirs,
Well,
we
who
give
defines
you
normal?
that.
Who defines normal?
Well, it's the procedure we've been doing for the last 20 years since I've been here.
Well, I have a right to the public information, and I want, and if we have 5 comps, he argues as 5 comps, I argue the same 5 comps, don't you think that'd be simpler? You don't think it'd be simpler?
You should do your own work.
Yeah,
Do your own work.
basically, again, it's
We
normal.
pay you to do that.
No, you're here representing somebody,
Yeah,
and you've
no,
come
really,
with nothing.
Really, you gotta bring your stuff, they
No.
bring theirs.
I will not. I will
All right.
not.
And then-
can't-
then-
why
Okay,
can't
that's
then
fine.
we
You get what you
gotta
get.
agree to disagree.
I'm not gonna use Zillow, I'm not gonna use the
asking you
MLS.
to.
You got a bunch of realtors who, whatever.
You can find out where Saya lives independently,
I
but
wanna
you don't know what
compare
ImageMate
the
is?
same data. With Zillow, these people lie like a rug, they exaggerate the inventories left and right. I'm not gonna use that when I
Nobody
can use
mentioned
this.
Zillow.
The MLS though is, pretty reliable from a sale price standpoint and that kind of thing.
I don't
That's
need
what
them for
we
sales
always
price.
use.
I've got the sales web. They buy 5217s. I've got all of that. I want what they're using for comps.
Well, we're gonna stay with the procedure that we've done, okay?
Well, when it comes to residential, it means, for example, in the town of Manlius, I probably had 15 cases with them. I've always lost at bar, and I always wanted SCAR. So, because their bar is ridiculous. It's all political cronyism. They don't even know what you're talking about. So I don't even go anymore. I just submit the submission, and then I beat them at SCAR.
Well, all
Every
right.
time.
So we tried to resolve the other day and, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, if he can provide me the data, I will respond, and then, that would, give you an opportunity to do what the bar is supposed to do.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for coming in.
Well, I appreciate the improvement and all that transpired here.
We want you to feel,
Like I said, I'm a nice guy. Everybody laughed when I said it yesterday. I am a nice guy.
no
No,
problem.
but I do represent my clients, aggressively, and it's my job to do that, so.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming in. We'll send 3 separate notices out first week of April. All right, thank you. And so with that, I'll entertain a motion
No.
to.
Got some more to read in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we want to read these in tomorrow or no? No? Okay.
No, because the letter that they had for it, so they want to be able to watch the live stream, needs to be read in today.
Okay, all right, thanks again.
Thank you. Cost report, comparable sales, and inventory. That's all I need.
Okay. All right, so this is Nob Hill. Do you mind if I take that pen down? This is Nob Hill. They requested a non-hearing. Thank you. So let me just make sure these are in the order that there are on the sheet of paper. And that's what we will do. Okay, yep. So we're gonna go down, and I think what I'll do is I'll just treat these as number 22.
Okay.
Okay, so I think what I'll do is read them all in, Matt, at the same time.
I am just going to give a perfunctory request for dismissal on a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, then we'll do them one at a time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, first one, 181 Lafayette Road. This is residential apartments, current tentative assessment $4,740,000 with a land value of $291,200. Let's go right here, and that would be a market value of $7,348,837. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $4 million, which would be an equatable assessed value of $2,580,000. And these are in litigation, are they?
Yeah, the entirety of them. Since 18 was the first year they filed.
Yeah, I remember it's been a while. Okay, so they requested a non-hearing, they're not here. We have the petition in here and authorization letter, and that's basically it. So anything you want to add here?
I don't have a lot. No, we request dismissal for non-appearance. This one has the appearance of frivolity to it. The property was sold in 2018 for $57,569,250. 74th, almost 75,000 a unit. Rents have had some movement since 2018. Up, that is. Got sales comps across the board. Got tremendous rental comps. I think an income cap on this property, unless our office are missing something, would show a value well in excess of what these constituent assessed values are. So
Okay.
I don't know why this one keeps coming back to us and the board, but it's a tough argument to make. I wish somebody were here to try to make it.
Okay, and so, John, you weren't here the other day, but, well, you might have been here, but you weren't here. And generally, these are represented to preserve the right of litigation. And weren't necessarily requested to be dismissed in prior years. So what's changed for as far as the board is concerned, if we were to dismiss them, what is our legal standing? Or
The city's position has been for always since 2017. When they don't appear, when a grievance does not appear before the board, we will dismiss.
Oh, okay, all right, so that's the difference, because they have come in past years, although I'm not sure, I don't know if they came last year. I can't remember.
We've seen Rebecca and Kevin representing this property owner in the past. I don't know if they're still representing them.
It looks like it. Yeah, there's, the designation is from Spino McLeod. Okay, so that's the crux of it, that even though they requested a non-hearing, they're not here to present and and therefore they're requesting to dismiss them.
When they don't appear, they deprive you of the opportunity of questioning them.
Yes. Okay.
I think it's important for the board to have that opportunity.
Yes, no, I agree, and I just wanted to get some clarification on that. Okay, so the next one is 161 Lafayette Road. this is current, this is residential apartments. Current tentative assessment of $6,030,000 with a land value of $174,000. That would be a market value of $9,348,837. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $4 million, which would be an equatable assessed value of $2,580,000 assessed value. And this is in litigation, and anything you want to say, Matt?
No, thanks, Joe. Nothing further than I did for 181.
Okay. Okay. This is 131 Lafayette Road. Next one on our list. This is residential apartments, current tentative assessment of $6,007,000, with a land value of $177,600, market value $9,313,178. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $4 million, which again would be an equatable assessed value of $2,580,000 even. This is in litigation, and same thoughts, Matt?
Yes, thanks. Same thoughts.
Next one, 127 Lafayette Road. This is land associated with the residential apartments. Current tentative assessment, $188,640. With a land value of the same $188,640. That would be a current tentative assessment of $292,465. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $50,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $32,250. And this is in the litigation. And same thoughts as there, huh, Matt?
Certainly. Very, very large tract of vacant land at the intersection. Would love to hear the justification for 100,000 full market on that.
Okay. Well, they have 50,000 full market is what they're requesting.
I got my 127 and 181 rear mixed up. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just to confirm.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. So 131 Lafayette Road rear. This is residential apartments. Current tentative assessment of $5,880,000 with a land value of $179,600. Market value equatable is $9,116,279. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $4 million, which would be an equatable assessed value of $2,580,000. Okay. And this is in litigation, and same thoughts there.
Same thoughts.
Okay. Looks like two more properties here, 181 Lafayette Road rear. This is the one that we referenced, residential apartments associated rec facility. Current tentative assessment of $637,560 with a land value of $504,800. Market value on that would be $988,465. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $100,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $64,500. Again, in litigation, and same thoughts, Matt?
Same thoughts, Joe.
Okay. And then the last one for Nog Hill, 301 Lafayette Road rear. Vacant land associated with residential apartments. Current tentative assessment of $64,400 with a land value of $64,400. Petitioner believes the fair market value, the equatable market value on 64.4 assessed value is $99,845. Petitioner believes the fair market value is $10,000, which would be an equatable assessed value of $64.50. $6,450. This is in the litigation, and we have the same thoughts there, Matt.
I do.
Based on the fact that the petitioners did not attend the hearing. Okay, just running through real quick here. I think we have addressed everything that we had to address today. Okay. Matt, anything you want to add?
Thanks to everybody for being here.
So I will put forth a motion to adjourn the meeting today.
Yes, second.
So moved, you do, you second, Mr. Fahey, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Motion carries, meeting adjourned.